from the before he can officially start his campaigns. Ruto termed his ongoing 2022 campaigns as part of government assignment ostensibly to collect feedback on governance from Kenyans.
Maybe you haven't seen me in a tie, and I think that's the problem. You know, government work can be done even without a tie. You know, you must not dress formally the way I think the only problem you have is that I have been working without being formally dressed. So there is no provision anywhere in law that you must be in a tie to carry out government responsibility.
The Judicial Service Commission is given a green light to petitions launched against High Court Judge Said Juma Chitembwe seeking his removal from office. In the petitions brought before the JSC, Justice Chitembwe's accusers want him relieved of his duties of alleged abuse of power. Amid the accusations, the Commission met and deliberated on the petitions and other allegations of impropriety and misconduct that have been brought to its attention. And after the meeting, Chief Justice Martha Koome-led Commission believes the judge must clear the air. JSC says Chitembwe has an opportunity to tell his side of the story. Koome, however, disclosed that Chitembwe's feedback will be reviewed alongside all the allegations leveled against him by a special committee established to probe his conduct. This, it appears, will determine the fate of the under-fire judge in the corridors of justice. Now, a total of 626,600 youths have so far applied for the Kazi Mtaani program 3 days after the registration exercise for the third phase of the National Hygiene program was launched. Registration data available on November 21st showed Nairobi leading with 113,653, followed by Kiambu 44,689, Nakuru 33,305, Mombasa 32,548, Wajir 22,280, and Uasin Gishu 19,020. Principal Secretary, State Department for Housing and Urban Development Charles Enga said those with no access to internet will be able to register at Huduma centers soon. Now, 18 people tested positive for COVID-19 from a sample size of 3,982. The positivity rate is now at 0.5%, with total confirmed positive cases rising to 254,728 and cumulative tests so far conducted at 2,801,983. From the cases, 13 are Kenyans, while 5 are foreigners. 10 are males and 8 are females, while the youngest is 30 years old and the oldest is 83 years old. And teenagers aged 15 to 18 years old in the country are set to be vaccinated against COVID-19 starting today. The rollout of vaccination for persons under the age of 18 is in line with the approval of Pfizer by the World Health Organization for use on children aged 12 and above. Health Cabinet Secretary Muthui noted that Pfizer is the only vaccine approved by WHO for the younger population. The Health Ministry will at the same time launch an accelerated 10-day vaccination exercise to ensure that majority of the public get vaccinated, saying the target to vaccinate 10 million people by the end of December still stands. This as Standard Group continues to urge you to get out there, get vaccinated so you can protect yourself and loved ones against COVID-19. And athletes have urged Athletics Kenya to take quick and stern action against rogue agents and managers who are exploiting athletes in the country. According to marathoner Christopher Komen, some agents and managers are preying on athletes' sweat, leaving them with nothing to show for their careers. This is Newswire. I'm Dennis Aseto.
If I'm found guilty, there is no problem. I'm willing to serve. I have no problem. Jails are meant for human beings.
They say a society gets the leadership it deserves. If you have a corrupt, crooked and rotten society like we have in Kenya, then of course they will get that kind of a leadership.
I think the president should dissolve parliament. That's the best solution at this moment in time. Dissolve parliament.
All of you go home.
Yes, we all go home.
How are we encouraging other people who might have new and creative ideas? Young people who are making money without any government help. They are just buying their own bundles. They are going on TikTok and making money. KRA is coming after them.
I've been in parliament for 15 years. We have been unable to pass the gender law. And yet no presidential candidate is talking about it now. Because we are fake. The truth is, all the men refuse to vote for that law.
What did Sonko do to Promotional maternity hospital?
Yeah, he
with
cleaned
his
it up.
own money.
Cleaned it with his own money. That was him as an individual.
Yeah. And I did not say he was cleaning his own money. I was saying he cleaned
Foot, mouth. Foot, mouth. Eric.
Okay.
The Situation Room. Kenya's biggest conversation.
SpiceFM. Nyeri.
We're getting into it. It's Tuesday, and let's see what the roads have in store for us today. It's already building up in some parts, but not too crazy at the moment. That Haile Selassie Avenue, however, is taking quite a hit. It's coming in from Landis Road and also coming in from the other direction, and that's what's coming off of Mombasa Road this morning. But again, like I said, not too much of madness right now. Jogger Road also looks free and clear. Opportunity for you to get into the city really quickly. And Jogger Road then joining at the roundabout of the City Stadium, then spilling over to Landis Road is where you have a bit of a problem, but apart from that, it doesn't look too bad. Building up also just a little bit on the Thika Superhighway coming into the city. Everywhere else hasn't quite woken up to Tuesday just yet. Langata Road also building up a little bit as you get to the roundabout at Timo. You will be able to get to the city if you're on Mombasa Road in about 10 minutes top. Traffic hasn't really begun this morning. Starting off to Tuesday, a bit slow, and this is good. Use it as an opportunity to get where you're going quickly without too much of a headache. We'll check back in about half an hour and see what it looks like as we get into traffic hour. Don't forget, you can talk to us this morning on SpiceFM KE on Twitter. Text 40127.
Are you ready? Okay. Spice FM. This is the Situation Room, the home of hard-hitting political commentary and penetrating insights about the state of the nation. This is a talk radio experience like no other. The Situation Room, a place for hard truths, debates, and elevated conversations. The Situation Room, witty, political, engaging, deep, controversial. In the room, we have C.T. Muga, researcher, academic, seasoned political observer, a fountain of wisdom in these politically uncertain times. Ndu Okoh, Nigerian by birth, Kenyan by choice, communications expert, Pan-Africanist, a truth seeker and believer in people power, and Eric Latiff, agent provocateur, the man in the chair, seasoned journalist, news hound, a man who believes in punching up, not down. This is the Situation Room.
It's 9
the
minutes
only
after
way
6.
to start
Good
your
morning.
day.
How are you doing? Welcome to Kenya's biggest conversation. Welcome to Tuesday, wherever you are tuned in. It's the 23rd day of November 2020. What was happening on the... Oh, it was 24th, when teenagers start getting the Pfizer vaccine. Right? It's tomorrow.
That's tomorrow.
Right. Let them tell us where. Where? We're not teenagers.
Well, good for you.
Can go for the vaccine.
You know some teenagers? Okay. Above 15? Sawa basi.
From tomorrow. Pfizer.
Pfizer is 1.
2.
The same one that you took, CT.
No, CT took AstraZeneca.
Oh, you took AstraZeneca, Oxford AstraZeneca. Yeah, sawa basi. Pfizer is also 2.
It became AstraZeneca Pfizer.
And Oxford AstraZeneca.
Okay. Pfizer is not the other one.
Pfizer is the other one.
And the one for
with BioNTech.
The one for 1
is Johnson.
Oh, Johnny.
Ndio hiyo.
Okay.
Is it Johnson and Johnson?
Yes, Johnson and Johnson.
Johnson it. Kills Dudu's dead.
Yes. So even this one,
Kills,
you take it. Maramoja. Dudu dead.
Welcome to the conversation. So we will have a conversation today about studying in Japan for your undergrad degree, for very many English programs offered in Japan. You can go study, work, and live in Japan.
No, but wait. Why are you like this? Huh?
See, I'll come back to you. You want me to say hello to you?
Say hello to CT first. My father will say,
CT.
it's only goat that wakes up and just leaves the shed.
I'm sorry.
Surely.
I'm sorry. CT?
Yes.
How are you?
Fine.
Okay.
Eric?
Yes?
How's Japan?
I don't know. I have no clue. We'll find out. Ndu Okoh?
Yeah.
Jambo mingi.
Jambo sana, mambo.
Safi sana.
Okay.
It's only goats that do not what?
You just get up and leave like that. Huh?
No.
Only goats.
Goats say hi to each other.
No. Goats will just stand up and go and start eating grass.
In Kikuyu, they say, of goat are horns. The greetings of goats when they...
Even that one you did not do.
When they... of goat are horns. The greetings of goats are when they knock each other's heads. But you're well, Cindy.
Yeah.
What is it, City?
City's trying to spell Pfizer.
No, they. I didn't see that one coming. But I was thinking about that the other day. In fact, yesterday.
Thinking about what? Pfizer?
No, I was thinking about what it is that qualifies to be a tongue twister. Okay.
Round and round the rugged raccoon ran.
Yes. She sells seashells by the seashore. That one. Red lorry, yellow lorry.
Anyway, so now I can talk about what we'll be doing at 8.
Okay.
Sawa.
Now we can talk about
the Japan story. So we'll have a Japan story at 8. And we'll be joined by some 2 Kenyans who are studying in Japan. Cynthia Nandwa Malava is a master's student, Graduate School of Engineering, Department of Urban and Environmental Engineering at Kyushu University. And we'll also have now a professor manager of the Global Strategies Office at the same Kyushu University today as we discuss studying in Japan. At 7 o'clock, we will have a conversation about NHIF. So the NHIF Bill 2021 passed through the National Assembly because it touches on money and issues of health, which is devolved. It has gone to the Senate. So it's before the Senate. It has a raft of very many things that it wants to do to NHIF, including if it passes as it is, you pay, your employer matches your contribution. NHIF. Your employer, whether your employer is government, City Muga, or City Muga Limited.
Or City Muga Unlimited.
Yeah, or City Muga and City Muga Esquire. Yeah. That among many others. So it's going to be different. And also it looks at making NHIF just basically the bedrock and the foundation for universal health coverage. We'll discuss that. The CEO will be in the studio himself, and nobody else in person. We'll ask him all these questions. So if you've got any questions that you want to understand NHIF, you can ask him. I know that if we open up the floodgates right now, it'll just be about issues currently on management. And those are also important. Just raise them with us so that we can ask. For example, I have a question. So you go to hospital and the doctor says you need this kind of treatment and you have NHIF and then you fill out the forms. There's somebody somewhere who sits back and twiddles their fingers and decides, Ndu Okoh, 50,000. For the same kind of treatment, Eric Latiff, 150,000. So what do they use?
What's the barometer?
Yes, we'll use those ones. But let's talk about COVID quickly.
Okay, so it's been a minute, but let's look at the numbers of COVID in the country, right? 18 new cases from sample size of 3,982 is what we're looking at. Positivity rate of 0.5%. C'est très bien. We're looking at 0 recorded deaths in the last 30 days. This was as of yesterday. So it's looking all right. This is where you want to be. Keeping the positivity rate as low as possible, way below 5%, is where Kenya has been at least for a month. These are good signs. However, on the other side of things, what's really happening with the vaccines and saying, can we get as many of those in as possible? Still saying that, trying to get as many people vaccinated is the deal. And it still stands what the CS has said. Let's look very quickly at what's happening around the world. 258,394,085 cases what we're looking at now. But more than that, what we are looking at, which has caused a little bit of a stir, is the riots that we see across Western and Central Europe, the Netherlands, Germany, Austria, everybody out in the streets rioting and saying, you know what, you're going to lock us down again. And we're looking at Austria in total lockdown, for example. You cannot go out except to get groceries or to go to the pharmacy. Everybody indoors. Christmas, it looks like, will be an indoor affair. And people are saying, you know what, no way. So what are we going to do? Spill into the streets and demand our rights. And it looks like it's happening across into Germany, further into the Netherlands, and they're saying, absolutely not. We cannot do this. Not another year. But above that is the warning that 500,000 people could be dead by March, especially with the bitter winter that is happening currently in that neck of the woods. So the warning is that more people will get infected because the temperatures are lowering.
Okay.
More people will die. And the statement that we saw yesterday is, look, we're either going to have people cured, ill, or sick with COVID. That's where we are. Or dead by COVID. So you know what, guys? Take it as you will. But the situation is not looking good at all.
So explain this to me, okay? The world is so focused on getting a vaccine. The world gets vaccine. Then the communication is, let's get as many people vaccinated as possible. If you get more than half of your population, adult population, vaccinated, it's good. It's going to dampen the severe effects of the virus. Winter is not a one-off. Winter happens every year. 65% of Austrians, for example, have been fully vaccinated. And here we are.
Interesting.
So how do you put those two conversations together?
But they've also been able to find the majority of people who are being infected most recently are people who have not been vaccinated at all. So it actually strengthens the argument for them. Whether or not that you can get it even after having been vaccinated, the current situation strengthens the argument where it says, please go out and get vaccinated, because those who are getting sick, the 60,000, 100,000 that we've seen that are being recorded, are those who've not been vaccinated at all.
Okay. But when these countries are saying that this is severe, it's worse than it has been before, when you've had more than a third, more than half of your population in many countries, 2/3 of your population fully vaccinated, it goes against everything else that we're saying. Because it's not just the minority that's getting, infected at a rapid rate. It's everybody. And that's why you're locking down everybody.
True, but being vaccinated doesn't mean you cannot be infected.
No, it doesn't.
That's true.
It just means that
we're talking about the severity here.
Will be
but
lower.
the severity is what we are discussing. When Angela Merkel says it's more severe this time than we've ever seen.
But one of the things that perhaps hasn't been discussed adequately, and yet it's in the public domain, is the mutation of the virus. Remember, it was just virus. Then all of a sudden it was Delta, Alpha, Omega. And before you know it, it started off nicely. South African variants, we knew. South African, Indian, we knew Indian, UK, we knew. Then said, no. Let's not get racial on this thing. Let's Alpha Delta it. So we Alpha Delta'd it, right? But what makes you think that you're not going to get a Delta Alpha combo as well? This is a living organism that is also struggling to stay alive. You are trying to diminish it. It is trying to survive. So, what circumstances do you think you are going to have here? A mix? Remember the other day we had this discussion with a gentleman who works for GSK. Okay? Is it GSK?
Yep.
Yes. And we were discussing just something similar, but more so with antibiotics. Why it is that the lack of clear understanding as to why one must follow the rule book of drug administration strictly and what it is that happens when you then develop resistance. The truth of the matter is this. Learning to live with a virus, it is clear, involves learning to change the way we go about our business. Because what we are talking about now is people went back to business as usual. And this business as usual, unfortunately, is bringing about these results that we're now talking about.
I see us trying to look for very many ways to explain something that has just basically been miscommunicated. The communication was get as many of your people vaccinated and you will not see severity of infection, severity of disease. What they are witnessing now in Germany, in Austria, in other countries is the exact opposite of what that communication was.
But that, I think, is perfectly okay. You know why?
And so what I'm saying is, if we try to say, it's because people went out, it's because that was the whole,
did.
But that's it. That was the whole reason. Let's get vaccinated so we can go back to life.
You see, the entire...
It's not that the virus is now being resistant to the vaccine. We haven't even said that yet.
Oh, they're not going to say that yet.
So
because if they say that, then what it will mean is that these vaccines are not doing what they're supposed to do, and that cannot be said. The thing that also is not being said, when you have a disease this new, what you know, this one we've said here, what you know about and what you don't know. Okay,
this is it. You don't know.
This entire spectrum of vaccination, non-vaccination, we are still experimenting.
Yep.
Right now, with all these things, we're still experimenting.
And that's why I say the communication should be that. When you make the communication appear like this is the silver bullet.
It's definitive, yes.
And it's definitive. And everybody then must get the vaccine. Getting the vaccine for what now? This is what's happening. 23 past 6. Let's take a break.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day. Spice up your life.
This is something people need to understand. Your money, my money, equals our money. We cannot have your money is our money and my money is my money.
The only way to live your best life is to create a balance between work, love, and play. The Adults in the Room is the only show on radio dedicated to educating Kenyans on how they can stay winning in life and in love. Text the word adult to 22840 to get the latest clips from Adults in the Room directly to your mobile phone. SMS adults to 22840.
The weather with Spice FM.
A bit of a cloud over Nairobi. The sun's peeking through them at some point, though. 27 will be the high and lows of 16 today. It's clear at 14 in Nakuru, highs of 28 and lows of 14. Clear conditions in Nyeri as well at 13, highs of 26 and lows of 12. Eldoret is clear at 11, highs of 25 today. It's partly sunny in Mombasa, an early rise to the morning at 26, highs of 33 and lows of 25. And in Malindi, 27 and sunny as well, highs of 32 and lows of 27. Clear conditions at 19 in Kisumu, we'll see highs of 29, and Kakamega is clear at 15, highs of 29 as well. Looking into Kampala, it's mostly clear at 17, we'll see highs of 29. Dar es Salaam is mostly sunny at 24, highs of 32 today. Johannesburg, rain showers at 13, highs of 25 and lows of 10. And we're looking at rain in Lagos as well at 26, highs of 31 and lows of 25. Kinshasa, rain showers at 22, highs of 32. Sunny conditions at 3 in Beijing going into early afternoon. 7 will be the high and lows of -4. It's 2 degrees and cloudy in Paris, highs of 9 today. London is cloudy at 3, that'll be today's low, going to highs of 10. New York, considerably colder than yesterday. 3 degrees, clear conditions. It's a freeze warning still. Highs of 11 and lows of 1.
Spice FM. Spice up your life. Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Mornings done right. 94.4 Spice FM, Nairobi.
Everybody online this morning. Edwin Miner, good morning to you. Thanks for joining us this morning. Abute Wata, Alex, Chris, we can see you. Dagi Oguta, it's been a minute. Good morning. Tuned in. You're in from Kisumu this morning. Nams Wailisha Asante Sana, good morning. You say the government of Kenya has failed in sensitizing Kenyans on the COVID vaccination. Well, Langi Ziegler says good morning and is asking the question. He's streaming in from Florida. How is NRM General Mr. Dr. Miguna? Well, okay, so we'll have to find out. In from Migori, that's where Haran Stakos is. Cyprian, we see you. Robert Mbogo tuned in from Kwale County this morning. Martin Wafula, good morning from Ndalu in Bungoma. Kawa West also tuned in this morning. And we can see you from Lake Elementaita, the world's largest breeding site for pelicans. That's where Stanley is this morning. Good morning to you guys. Thanks for joining us.
Good morning, everybody. City, the proverb.
Yes. Swahili proverb, yet again. Right? You know the thing about Swahili proverbs, it is next to impossible to mispronounce anything.
Oh, for you.
Oh, yes. This walking into this minefield. I need time to recover, then I can wade back in. Okay? Heri kujikwa kidole kuliko ulimi. Heri kujikwa.
Bite. Stumble.
Kidole kuliko ulimi. It is better to stumble with the toe than with the tongue.
Oh, kidole. I keep thinking kidole is just finger. Got it. It's appendage. That would be the direct translation for kidole, right? Appendage. Sawa, sawa. Okay. Why are you looking at me? Eric is looking at me with one eye.
Eric was thinking.
No, Ndu, in your mother tongue, do you have a different word for finger and a different one for toe?
Yes. It's a combination of words. You see, that's the thing. I just always thought...
It's a description.
Yes. I always just...
What's finger?
You see, now that's the thing. It's when you... It says as a segment of the hand, for example.
Okay, and the segment of the foot.
Yeah, but you see now, aka is hand, uku is foot.
Okay, so what's finger?
Iki.
Ijimaka
See?
is finger.
What's toe?
Ikoku is toe. Uku
is foot. Okay. In Luo, are they different words?
I was thinking about it, and actually, the finger is an appendage of the hand. That's how it is. Lith, lueti. Yes. Luedo, hand. Lith, yes. Toe, doing search is not coming. I'm really doing a search. I'm now on advanced search. Still not coming.
I think for many you'll find, so it's either that you're describing it as something from the arm, or it's the same word, just like kidole. Kidole cha mkono, kidole cha mguu.
I just never, it's interesting because I just never think about it. I always think kidole is hand. It's the finger, right? Never thought it. And as I remember now, I realized that people then use it for the foot as well.
It's amazing the things we take for granted, isn't
it?
it?
Yeah, really.
And then when the question is asked, you say, but honestly, yes, I had never really given this thing thought.
Yeah.
Never really thought about it. It's 6:30, so let's take this quick break, take a look at the traffic, and then we'll be looking at the newspaper headlines shortly. Good morning. This is Kenya's biggest conversation, the Situation Room on SpiceFM.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day. Spice up your life. 24/7, around the world, non-stop. This is SpiceFM.
Hello.
Halo, umesikia?
Nimesikia nini?
Hujasikia habari? Hebu acha nikuambie. Kile kimetokea.
Hello? Hello? Hello?
Don't wait for hearsay. Dial *550*1# to read the Standard e-paper from the convenience of your mobile phone for only 20 shillings from your telecom line, and stay up to date for a reliable source with over 100 years of experience with no additional data charges.
There are thousands of jobs in construction and real estate waiting just for you. Listen to Double O Direct from 10 a.m. this Saturday on 94.4 SpiceFM. Streaming live on standardmedia.co.ke. Jobs in construction and real estate. A special Double O Direct with me, Olivia Otieno. Brought to you by Mabati Rolling Mills. MRM, 60 years of quality building solutions. Ukiweka, umeweka.
Classic soul, R&B, smooth
Okay, and
jazz.
just like that, there's traffic all over the CBD. You thought you could get in. I told you 10 minutes is what you needed then. And a lot can change in 10 minutes on these Nairobi streets. And we have quite a lot of it getting into the city right now. Jogo Road also piling up quite some just past the train station and then hang out towards the roundabout at City Stadium. Langata Road also, sorry, if you're trying to squeeze in, now is a bit late. Coming off of the Thika Superhighway, also starting to pile up just past Pangani, but survey is free just past the drive-in. You will be all right as you're heading then out towards the Pangani underpass. Parklands looks good. Limuru Road not building up in as much terrible fashion, but we know that in about half an hour or so, things are going to go crazy. We will be here to let you know what it looks like, so at least you can plan ahead. Help us out here as well, guys. SpiceFM KE on Twitter, text 40127.
Spice FM, Malindi. Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Mornings done
So for
right.
30 shillings only, you get
94.
access to the Standard e-paper on standardmedia.co.ke. With that, you have access to 10 days of Standard Archives. You also have access, as that is for 10 days, Standard Archives. You have access to free Sudoku, free crossword puzzle. Standardmedia.co.ke, the Standard e-paper for 20 bob only. Take a look at the headlines. City, this one in the Standard is your headline.
Which one? Business Daily. CAK flags 12 banks with hidden mortgage charges. Yes, Competition Authority of Kenya reviewed home loan contracts for 27 banks and found the information provided to consumers by 12 of them was incomplete, unclear, and unfavorable.
Okay.
All right. The antitrust body found that, and I read the following: KCB Bank, NCBA Bank, Absa Bank, Kenya, DIB, that is DIB Bank, Kenya, that is, Mayfair Bank, Consolidated Bank, Victoria Commercial Bank, Bank of Baroda, were some of the lenders with unfair mortgage contracts. They further go on to say, the competition watchdog said that the banks had been ordered to review home loan contracts. 11 of the banks had complied, while one requested for additional time. Additional time request not mentioned. Okay. The CAK said competition law stipulates that a consumer should be informed of all charges and fees payable prior to the same being imposed. Banks must also ensure their clients understand all the documents relating to the service they are obtaining.
Yeah.
Yes.
So basically what we're saying is the bank will tell you, just take a mortgage at 12%.
Yes.
And you think it's 12%.
Well.
And then now you get in there and you find there's this, there's the other, there's this fee, there's the other fee,
Suddenly
there's a transfer
18%.
fee, there's one.
Oh, no, 18 is small.
And after a year, they regularize it after. You've taken the mortgage, in 6 months' time, they adjust it.
And the
to the default
contract at
setting.
least stipulates that they can adjust as when they see fit.
Yes.
And that particular part of the contract is in such small print, even if you have glasses, you can't read it.
You'll not read it. So, what have they told the banks to do? They've all been told to regularize.
Review it and make sure that all these charges that you don't clearly stipulate, okay, you imply, state it clearly.
But what's the reprieve for the people who are currently on
In
mortgage?
that mess.
In that mess.
This
People who were duped by these banks. Because basically the Competition Authority is saying you duped your clients.
Your clients,
Yes,
exactly.
the Competition Authority is not telling us anything.
No, the idea here should be, if you understood that your mortgage is 6%, pay at 6%.
Yes.
And if I've been paying at 7%, return the 1% that I've been paying.
Yes.
But
regularize it.
Credit my
You
account.
can't just come and say that you people have been doing bad manners.
Oh, sorry,
and
sorry,
then,
sorry.
Loss is your loss.
No.
No. Compensate me.
You know, the some of these things are actually quite humorous. I was having a conversation with one of my bank managers, and these accounts ready to open: Advantage, Executive, Premier. So it has an advantage. I said, like which one?
Free cookies.
And a free coffee. So the same thing. Free.
And a bathroom.
Yes. But when you ask for a loan, you can negotiate it so that it is lower. And I asked, lower by what percent? 1. I said,
cheers.
Okay, I've understood now. 1%. I guess 1% is a lot of money.
It's a lot, depending on how much you're borrowing.
Yeah, I want to borrow 20 shillings. Now, 1%, how is that going to help my life?
The CEO of KCB Bank will be here tomorrow morning at 8.
We shall ask him.
Keep that newspaper ready.
Questions.
This newspaper is not going anywhere.
Yeah.
Speaking of questions and mysteries, the mystery of 100 million shillings, not small change, not the 20 shillings that you're looking for, having been banked somewhere else. In 3 days, Felicia's account grew from 0 to 100 million. I mean, it's like magic, Houdini things, right? Courtesy of her Belgian boyfriend for her financial security and their future children.
Right on.
Now, this money entered the bank and folks were like, hold on a minute. Where is this money coming from? So let me give you a little bit of a...
This is really good. That we know where it came from.
Yeah, Belgian boyfriend.
I am going to sit back and listen to this story.
Get some popcorn because stuff is getting hot.
Mornings are made of such stories.
Now, the mystery of a 21-year-old girl whose bank account ballooned from 0 shillings to 102 million shillings in a matter of days deepened yesterday after it emerged that she had done what? She has left the country. Felista Nyamidhira Joroge, described as a student at the Nairobi Technical Training Institute, is said to have left the country on the 2nd of October, 2 days after the Assets Recovery Agency moved to Nairobi Court to freeze transactions of the monies. In 3 days, from August 4th to 6th, Ms. Njoroge's account rose from 0 to $914,000 US. 920 to be exact. They trooped into her account in 4 batches of $229,980, $231,980, $224,980, and $227,000. Guess what? 980. When an explanation was sought, Ms. Njoroge told the investigators that the monies were for investing in, land projects and safaris. Safaris to the moon, perhaps. By the time ARA was summoning her to physically appear in their offices to explain herself, she was what? Long gone. Initially,
Safari.
That's what I'm telling you.
She had
That's what
spoken
the money
in
was
advance
for.
and said,
I have told you, land and safari.
So now we are the safari element.
Yeah. We are the safari stage. The land we'll explain later. Now, according to her lawyer, her advocates, Ndindi and Nadida, sought clarifications on the nature of the summons before coming out in terms of her full unavailability. We would like to inform you that our client, Felista, is currently not in Kenya and in fact left the country, land, on the 2nd of October. We do not have information on when our clients will be coming back to Kenya. She, on the other hand, is totally off. No, not totally off, but unavailable. One could argue, but okay. Off air. And not enough efforts to reach her through her lawyers and searches in social media bore any fruit. First, keying in her name on search tabs on social media bore 0 results. Her lawyers in Dinda and Nadida advocates declined to respond when asked of their clients' whereabouts, contacts, or even for an interview. We are not in a position to make any comment at the moment. We will call you, our people. We'll talk to your people. For now, leave it alone. The only details in public are name, bank details, and a few pictures of her and her Belgian friend. The attempt to reach the Belgian friend in hope of getting more details of the newest and youngest millionaire equally proved unsuccessful. Mark Demezel enjoys a rich social media presence, and when a message was sent to him later, he then blocked the sender and said they then received a message saying this content is unavailable. 2009, Mr. Njoroge would have been around 10 years old, right? His YouTube videos are majorly clips focused on cryptocurrency and Bitcoin. However, sometimes, though rarely, he gets to share his personal life. His latest post on the 19th of September was an 8-minute video of him ranting about how he was arrested and taken away on suspicion of money laundering. And I quote, I knew there was more violence in Africa than Europe. But without any notice, summoned or questioned by police, suddenly arresting me in my home, seizing my laptop, phone and passport, taking me away handcuffed as well as my pregnant girlfriend, I did not expect. Turns out we were suspected of money laundering due to a bank gift I made to my girlfriend, and for which we had submitted the requested paperwork to the bank, not feeling safe anymore in Kenya. So they did what? According to him, they've had 2 children, and they're expecting a 3rd one. He discloses in the video that they live around Lake Naivasha in Nakuru County.
I asked this last week.
So?
Why are cops criminalizing this particular case? Because it sounds like, they've already determined that this is definitely...
money laundering.
Yes. So you prove it.
Not only that.
This man has been, he has been posting content for a long time. Like you said, since 2009. And he's been posting content on cryptocurrency, saying he's a Bitcoin investor, he's doing this and the other. His content is on advice on how you can take advantage of cryptocurrency and this and that, how you can invest, how you can sell short, how you can buy long term, whatever, everything. If he has the money, now go and prove that he did not send this girl money.
Or that money.
Or that he didn't earn it.
What if the money was in his account and not in this girl's account? What if he had created a new account and transferred money from one account to another? What if it was a joint account? Would this be the same? Is the issue here the fact that this is a young 20-year-old black girl who has opened an account
so much money?
And she suddenly has 100 million?
That can raise questions insofar as you'd ask, okay, a 21-year-old, yes, we understand. So what is the source? But we already have the source. So is it the source that you find questionable? If so, what is it about the source that you find questionable? Because there are people who actually have that sort of money.
Yes, sir.
And there are people who are capable of not just having the money, but of sending,
of giving it away.
We are not talking about an amount that, should we say, a reasonable number of people have. There are a reasonable number of people on this planet who actually have that sort of money.
There are many.
Yes.
There are very many.
So,
the problem here is that it's a 21-year-old girl who according
21-year-old African girl,
yes.
And there is Mzungu at the end of this particular story.
And she's a student, and according to you, there is no show that she does anything else apart from go to school. But then now she has a boyfriend.
Source of money?
My boyfriend gave me. She didn't hide it. She didn't lie. She said, look, this is where it has come from. So what's the problem? That's the issue.
You know the story.
Young girl from Kenya, Africa, doesn't have any other source of income. That's the issue. How can your boyfriend just give you money? Why?
Yeah, boyfriends are not supposed to give people that amount of money. We understand 2,500 shillings. Yes.
20 million.
No, even 20,000. We was 20,000 for what? You are a student. What do you need 20,000 for? So you're supposed to be studying. And then 100 million. No. There's something wrong with understanding the processes that are followed in determining the issues that seem to be pertinent. The pertinency here seems to be this money may have been proceeds from some ungainly sources. Okay?
Yes.
Yeah, but there is no evidence to show that. All right? That it should be questioned, I understand. That it should be investigated, that I can also understand. But surely...
The fellow said that they did all the
They
due
lodged.
diligence. They lodged. They gave documentation. They talked about the source of this income. They did that. You can't transfer this kind of money without that documentation.
No, you
cannot.
Did the banks flag it? Did the banks say, folks,
they were doing that? That's how now the DCI and the ARA came in. Because the banks were reporting, not flagging. They're basically reporting. So
this amount which is beyond this particular limit, blah, blah, blah.
Just come in. This is the reason given. This is the reason given.
And those in authority did not find the reasons adequate.
The bank anti-fraud unit maybe just flagged it at that point. Or like, hey, wait a minute. But anyway, you will raise questions. Let's just be honest.
No.
In 4 days, 0 to 100 million shillings, you'll ask yourself, okay, what's happening
Eric, here? 0 to 2 million, you will ask questions. 0 to 500,000, even that you'll ask questions. Okay? So, I find the issue here is one of procedure and process and the lack of clarity thereof. All right?
Yeah.
Because there are too many things that are being read in the articles as a conclusion before the justification that gives that conclusion
is given.
Yeah. Yes.
There's a lot of jumping, and the conclusion has not even been reached here.
So, should we say that this saga is still unfolding?
It continues.
Yes.
It's 13 minutes to 7. Let's take a quick break. We'll be back shortly.
"24/7 around the world, non-stop. This is Spice FM.
We Kenyans love a great time. What better way to have a good time than listening to the greatest music hits in town and experience a party like never before? From 80s, 90s throwback, reggae, R&B music, and much more. You sure will be bumping your head. Watch Party All DJs on Thursday at 10 p.m. and Friday at 10:30 p.m. only on KTN Ho.
"102.5 Spice FM, Kisumu." Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself.
All right, 12 minutes to 7. So, there was news that broke over the weekend of a BBC journalist who was found dead in a hotel room. And a Kenyan person who was last seen with her also dead several floors below her hotel room. Now, it so happens that the BBC journalist is called Kate Mitchell. She was a BBC project manager, and she had just come in from Ethiopia where she was running a project. Basically, she is in the philanthropic arm of the BBC that's involved in developing journalism. So she was in Ethiopia. She was conducting some training. Things happen in Ethiopia. You are advised to evacuate. So she evacuates from Ethiopia. She comes to Nairobi. As she is in Nairobi, she is seeking either to acquire a work permit and continue working from Nairobi or head back home to the UK. So she stays in this particular hotel in Westlands. Then on this particular day, a gentleman called Tamati Mauti, who was staying in the same hotel with a woman who says is his girlfriend, Michelle Akinyi. They were on the 7th floor. Tamati leaves the girlfriend in the room, goes to the bar, meets with the journalist Kate Mitchell. They are said to have been seen together, having a drink together. Next thing, they have left together. They have gone to Kate's room together. Next thing, alarm has been raised from this Kate's hotel room. The hotel management sends people to go and check. They find the room is locked from the inside. They break in. They find Kate lying in the bathroom. They find the window open. And several floors down, Mr. Tamati Mauti has met his Mauti. Now, those are just the basic facts. The order of events, I don't know. The headline in The Nation today on page 7, it says, "Man who killed BBC journalist was engaged."
How did they arrive at that one?
This is some more jumping.
The Kenyan who allegedly killed a BBC employee in a Nairobi hotel last Friday did so as his fiancée waited for him in their room 1 floor below at the same hotel. The young couple were to wed in December, a plan that will never materialize after Mauti allegedly jumped to his death after his encounter with Miss Mitchell on Friday night. The girlfriend, Michelle Akinyi, had patiently waited for her boyfriend who left her in their hotel room as he went to the bar. The police have established that while at the bar, Mauti and the British national had a few drinks together. Then Kate Mitchell left for her room. Then, in a move whose motive police are yet to establish, Mauti allegedly followed the BBC journalist and entered her room. The police say, we suspect that this is when the two engaged in a scuffle that resulted in the death of Miss Mitchell, who, after realizing that things were getting out of control, pressed the room's alarm. This must have spooked Muthui, who, forgetting they were on the 8th floor, jumped out of the window and died. This is according to Kilimani Sub-County Police Commander Muthui Mbogo. Police records show that Mitchell's room was locked with a chain lock from the inside. Security officers had to call the hotel's technician, who opened using a screwdriver. They found the BBC manager lying down in the bathroom and dialed the ambulance service, whose staff quickly arrived. The paramedic confirmed that Miss Mitchell was dead, and they observed a stab wound on the left side of her neck and bruises around her eyes. Now, you tell me, how has anybody here arrived to at the conclusion that
Muthui killed her?
Muthui killed her and got spooked because she has pressed the alarm
And then jumped out the
and
window.
jumped out the window and not just opened the door and leave?
I'm sorry. I think there's a lot of jigsaw puzzle playing here, and you don't even have all the pieces. You can't. You can't. The conclusion is not logical at all. Just by looking at it, without even, as you said, without even knowing everything, this conclusion that has been arrived at is not logical. Doesn't make sense, and you don't even have all the pieces.
No, the statement in the nation is, we suspect. We suspect that this is when the two engaged in a scuffle that resulted in the death of Ms. Mitchell, who pressed the room's button. Now, the unfortunate thing is this. Statements like this, which are speculations, unfortunately, the history of such cases in this country, it doesn't end as speculation, it ends as fact.
Yes.
Because moving forward, you're now dealing with a case not of one unresolved and you're trying to figure it out, but no, of somebody who has already committed a crime.
Yes.
And the question you're asking is why he committed the crime.
Yes.
And yet you haven't even ascertained that
whether he indeed committed the crime.
I mean, what actually happened here? What really happened?
What really happened? Why would he leave a hotel room, go to a bar, meet a woman, follow her to her room, and stab her to the neck?
Had they established that
And
they
their
knew
bruises.
each other prior to this?
Now, those aren't things that...
Have they found the knife that was used to stab her? I mean, if he was spooked, he must have left the knife there. I mean, there's a lot here that is basically, and that's what I call a manufactured story.
Blind conjecture.
This is the police are trying to manufacture a story to conclude.
The case.
They probably know, or they have been told, find a way to explain this death and let's move on. The death of this particular journalist raises very many questions.
It does.
Very many questions. You'll also maybe ask yourself about Mr. Tamati Mauti and the woman Michelle Akinyi, who are said to have been, dating and engaged. All those questions have to be asked.
Absolutely. They must be asked.
I do not think Tamati Mauti killed her.
Doesn't make sense right now.
There's a lot, and police have got to stop this nonsense.
Speaking of police and nonsense, there are many things happening now. It seems that they've unraveled how the committee escapees reached Kitui. That's all right. The new prison boss has taken over office and transfers senior officers. That is all right. But now Kenyans have been asking, so this 60 million reward that you said that you were going to give, what's going to happen? National Police Service yesterday said the government will honor its pledge on the cash reward offered to the people who helped in the recapture of the 3 terror convicts who had escaped from Committee National Maximum Prison. In a statement from the Office of the Inspector General, police spokesman Bruno Shioso said those to be rewarded will be subjected to a verification process to ensure the reward goes to deserving recipients. Monday on the 17th, the government announced a cash reward of 20 million shillings for information that would lead to the recapture of each escapee. The government acknowledges that the rearrests of the suspects were made possible with the support from the members of the public. Indeed, the accounts of several people who separately claim to have played a role in the capture have been reported extensively in the media. There had been silence, though, in terms of what's going to happen then with the reward. And of course, there was public outcry and questions and saying, okay, so found, reward, where is it? She also tells us this will happen, guys. We're verifying who these individuals were, how many of them were involved in the process, and we're going to make sure that we will share equally. Finally, subsequent investigations following the recapture of the convict escapees is progressing well. Crucial leads have so far been collected from the scene of arrest and undergoing forensic analysis. So worry not, 60 million will be awarded.
Speaking of police again, this was all over on social media yesterday. So there's a gentleman who's been living in this country. He's of Ethiopian origin. He's been running businesses in Kenya. And on this particular day, he's driving his very expensive Bentayga on the streets of Nairobi. What happens? He's blocked. People come out of their Subaru. They come to his Bentayga and they forcibly remove him from his car and they put him in their Subaru, and they go. Witness number one is a traffic police officer on motorbike who comes with his motorbike, stops there, finds this scuffle as it's happening, talks to the guys, and now he's trying to direct traffic. Okay, you guys, you can move on. Gentleman missing. Some days later, wife comes out to say, you know what, my husband is missing. He was abducted by people on the streets. I don't know where he is. Next is this speculation that this Ethiopian gentleman has found his way to Ethiopia.
He has now, has he?
From the Subaru.
Now, the issue of street abductions, as we were talking about escaping from prison, unexplained escapes from prison, street abductions, we have seen them a number of times now. And in fact, they're just becoming so brazen that people just come and take someone from their vehicle and you go, and no explanation is given at all. So when that lawyer was picked up the other day after the terrorist was released from prison, his lawyer was picked up, his lawyer was dumped somewhere in Kitui. Lawyer has not said a word since. Another Muslim scholar had been picked up from the streets by unknown people. Then he's released by unknown people.
Nobody says anything.
Nobody says anything. Not even police come out to say, hey, why we need to establish what really, I mean, DCI would be writing long compositions on their Twitter handle telling us how they are working hard to unravel and break this ring of abductions. They're not.
They're saying.
Just tells you something.
Yeah, but there's also something a little bizarre about this. Alongside these cases are incidences where individuals have been picked up and have never been found.
Many.
Others have been found, but found dead.
Yep.
So others have been found that they've never uttered a word after that ordeal.
Yes.
Our police does not have a good record. The UN sent a serious senior rapporteur to come here and investigate extrajudicial killings and wrote a report from the United Nations about our Kenyan police. And this is still happening. Questions need to be asked, some serious questions. Anyway, keep it right here for more conversations coming up in the next hour. We have the CEO of the NHIF with us. Good morning. It's 7 a.m.
Spice up your life. The latest news from around the world. 94.4 SpiceFM.
This is Newswire. Dennis Aseto. The three tourists who were recaptured after escaping from the Committee Maximum Prison have been transferred to the Anti-Terrorist Police Unit headquarters. The decision was made after they were presented before a Nairobi court where the police sought to hold them for 10 days. The ATPU headquarters, located along Nairobi's Ngong Road, is one of the most protected facilities in the country. Meanwhile, 6 wardens suspected of aiding the escape of the Committee 3 will be detained for 8 more days pending investigations. The group was arrested last week to allow for further investigations. Interior CS Fred Matiang'i said preliminary investigations suggested the escape was abated by laxity and incompetence. Matiang'i also vowed to ensure more arrests and prosecutions were made. And Amnesty International has urged the government to use alternative ways to address vaccine uptake and not make it an ultimatum for services. Executive Director Irungu Houghton said while there are legitimate reasons for people to be vaccinated, These reasons shouldn't deprive a person of their right to work and essential services. Houghton further said that the government was also making rules it won't be able to meet, as it had stated that it currently only had vaccine supplies for 15% of the population and required more human resources to reach all Kenyans. Health CS Muthui earlier said that those who fail to take vaccines by December 21st will be denied access to key services, including those offered by KRA and NTSA. These as 18 people tested positive for COVID-19, no death was reported, and 6.4 million doses of the vaccines have been administered thus far. Lawyer Miguna says he visited the Kenyan embassy in Berlin, where the embassy officials refused to comply with the court order by Justice Hedwig Ogundi that directed them to issue him with a travel document. Miguna says that the officials termed the court orders as rumors, for adding that they'd received instructions from Nairobi not to comply with them. The court ruling had ordered him to obtain emergency travel documents from the Kenyan embassy in Canada or Germany within 72 hours of the ruling.
The petitioner applicant to obtain his emergency travel document from the Kenya High Commission, Ottawa, Canada, or the Kenya High Commission, Berlin, Germany, or from wherever he is within 72 hours. The fourth respondent must ensure his order is complied with. 2. Once in possession of the emergency travel document and upon presentation of the same to the second respondent, the latter should allow the petitioner applicants to board the available flights to Kenya with immediate effect.
Now, less than 10 months to the elections, and the Independent Electoral Boundaries Commission has to go back to the drawing board after the ballot papers procurement tender was cancelled. The Public Procurement Administrative Review Board nullified the multi-billion shillings tender following a protest by several firms, including Algorithm Printing, dealing a major setback to the country's 2022 election roadmap. IEBC had awarded the 3-year contract to a Greek firm Inform Lycos AC, but PPARB nullified the contract following appeals by Africa Infrastructure Development Company, Uniprint, Toll Security Print Limited, and Algorithm Printing and Publishing. The board ruled that the tender for the supply of ballot papers and other electoral materials issued to Inform Lycos was nullified and set aside. With the cancellation of the contract, IEBC has been forced to start the procurement of ballot papers afresh from the financial evaluation stage. Now, Law Society of Kenya President Nelson Havi is officially a member of the United Democratic Alliance Party. Havi was formally welcomed into the party by Deputy President William Ruto at his current residence. The LSK president is set to vie for the Westlands parliamentary seat in the upcoming polls. Now, the government will no longer distribute food to families in drought-stricken areas, but will instead provide them with a 3,000 shillings monthly stipend. Public Service CS Margaret Kobia says that from next month, the new policy shift will be effected. Kobia adds that the government resorted to the cash transfer program due to similar initiatives which have proved successful. This is Newswire. Dennis Aseto.
SpiceFM, Nakuru.
Okay, a few minutes after 7 o'clock, and we're looking at traffic proper. Not yet in traffic hour, but the city centre is jam-packed, already clogged. Traffic coming through and through Uhuru Highway from the Nyeri Stadium roundabout out through to Westlands. Quite a lot of traffic this morning. We're looking at it piling on Haile Selassie, which started quite early as well. Kamkunji, that roundabout, feeding off from Landis Road. Quite a lot of traffic there this morning. Jogo Road. And we're looking at that whole outer ring area, and then coming onto Jogo Road, going then towards the east of the city. Still some traffic there as well. Langata Road quite packed as well. That started quite early as well. For the Thika Superhighway, now that has piled up past Survey, then towards the drive-in. Kiambu Road, also a thing this morning. So Tuesday started a bit late, but quite a lot of traffic this morning. We're going to have to keep an eye on things and see how they progress through the morning. Talk to us though. Where are you stuck? Or you find a good route, let us know. SpiceFMKE on Twitter. Text 40127.
This is the Situation Room, the home of hard-hitting political commentary and penetrating insights about the state of the nation. This is a talk radio experience like no other. The Situation Room, a place for hard truths, debates, and elevated conversations. The Situation Room, witty, political, engaging, deep, controversial. In the room, we have C.T. Muga, researcher, academic, seasoned political observer, a fountain of wisdom in these politically uncertain times. Ndu Okoh, Nigerian by birth, Kenyan by choice, communications expert, Pan-Africanist, a truth seeker and believer in people power, and Eric Latiff, agent provocateur, the man in the chair, seasoned journalist, news hound, a man who believes in punching up, not down. This
It's
is
7
the
minutes after
Situation
7.
Room.
Good morning.
The
How are you doing? If you're just joining us this lovely Tuesday morning, this is Kenya's biggest conversation on SpiceFM and live streaming the show online, SpiceFM KE, YouTube, on Facebook, and on Twitter. Let's begin the hour with the day's proverb. CT.
Heri kujikwaa kidole kuliko ulimi.
Heri kujikwaa kidole kuliko ulimi.
It's better to stumble with the toe than with the tongue.
Okay.
I see you are absorbing it.
The toe is just you, the tongue is others.
Or you can heal from a toe stumble, but you can't take back your words.
There's that little detail, yes, because unfortunately the tongue represents words, the toe doesn't. At best, the toe represents some movement.
And it's only confined to you.
It's only you. The tongue, unfortunately,
everybody else.
There's a
affects
universality
others.
to it. Others get involved in. They hear you, they understand you. You know, when you knock your toe, it's only you who knows you've knocked your toe.
Well, those around you might have a bit of
when
a sense of it.
Yes. When you open your mouth and something comes out of it,
then others get an idea.
That's it.
Yeah, it's who gets hurt. Toe, you get hurt. Tongue others get hurt.
You involve many, many others. Yes. So now the law of unintended consequences comes into play.
Applies.
Yes.
Now that you brought in the word universality, let's talk universal health coverage, right? And the conversation has been there for quite a number of years now on what needs to happen to see UHC working. So we know the pilot projects that were done in the 4 counties. They say that there was a report. We've never seen the report, but we know what we heard from the people who enjoyed that and the difference between what was being piloted to what is ideal going to be rolled out. We've had a conversation with the NHIF CEO a number of times before, but today we've decided, you know what, this having you out there talking to us is not working for us. So come in here and talk to us from here. So Dr. Peter Kamunyo, the CEO of the NHIF, is with us in the studio. Good morning, Dr.
Good morning. Thank you for having me on the show. Such a pleasure to be here live.
Finally, you know, it's good to have you. Welcome to the hot seats.
Literally.
This one is not as hot as what you sit on when you're right there in your office.
On a daily basis.
On a daily basis. Yeah. Yours is usually about, 560 degrees Celsius. This one is about 5,060 degrees Celsius. It's not as hot. So, the conversation about UHC has gotten to a point where in Parliament we've seen the National Assembly passing the NHIF Amendment Bill 2021, and now that has gone to the Senate. And we've been looking at the conversations and reporting around this and what the bill contains and what the bill is proposing to do. And that's what we want to understand today. Yeah. Among very many things is that the employers are now also going to be paying for their staff, NHIF. Hey, so what happens? Are employers still going to be taking for you your other cover for medical? Other conversations that have happened. So is NHIF going to cover more people? Is it going to be mandatory for everybody to have NHIF? All these questions. A couple of weeks back, we had with us in the studio the CAS for Health, Dr. Mercy Mwangangi, who has told us many times that she has actually worked in the background on universal health coverage a number of times. And I just want to play that clip of what she was talking about, the idea behind NHIF being revamped, and also the UHC and universal aspect of UHC. This is what she said.
One of the principles of setting up what you call a social health insurance fund, which is what many countries have done and done successfully, is that you have to have everyone in the pot. We're talking about UHC. The U in UHC is universality. Universality means everyone in the country. And that's the first step that this bill has done in ensuring that we legislate. It should be mandatory. Now I hear the noise. The second thing is, okay, if it's mandatory and we have close to 36% of Kenyans who are living below, the famous $1.50, how are those guys going to get in? And I can tell you now, there's firm commitment that government will ensure it pays that 6,000 Kenyan shillings for that group. So everyone else then, therefore, has been determined to have ability to be able to pay into NHIF, and there will be mechanisms
so that's what
to
she
ensure
said.
we are all in.
Now explain this to us. Is it true that this bill and what the idea behind what you've been working on is to have everybody contributing to NHIF?
Thank you, Eric. Kasmwangangi couldn't have been more correct. And I always like starting with definitions, and you do that on the show quite a lot. So what does universal health coverage actually mean? It just means that everyone has access to quality healthcare, promotive, preventive, that they need, and while they're accessing those services, they do not suffer financial hardship. That is the WHO definition. So 1, it means everybody. 2, the care that you need. 3, that you do not suffer financial hardship. So that is where something else comes in. It doesn't mean that it is free. It doesn't mean that it is the same for everybody, but it means that everyone in that jurisdiction, in that area, has access without suffering financial hardship. Now, when we come to Kenya, and I would like to dovetail from where Kasmwangangi had talked about, that for us to ensure that every Kenyan has that access, what needs to happen? You know that from the pilot, and you keep referencing that, the pilot which was done in 2018 was done on a model called input financing model. An input financing model is where you have the commodities available at the hospital, the infrastructure is there, the human resources there, and then registered people access those services for free. That was actually opportune for the first phase of the journey towards UHC, whereby is to ensure that the supply side is present. Now, that model, over time, you find that it is not sustainable because you still have to keep financing it. And that is why now, as we are going to the third and fourth phase of scaling up universal health coverage, we are using a model called output financing or insurance model. But in other words, it's a risk transfer. So we're transferring the risk from that out-of-pocket expenditure. We're transferring the risk from government funding of the hospitals. We're transferring the risk to an insurer. And you know the principles of insurance is pooling of risks. So you need to have everybody together contributing something little. And out of everybody contributing something little, there are those who will consume those services. Now, the spirit that we have now for scaling up for universal health coverage is that everyone must contribute. Now, if we go to everyone must contribute, how do you ensure that? We know even our natural behavior, like even motor vehicles, if it was not mandatory to insure our vehicles, I doubt many of us would be insuring them. So let's say now we have made it mandatory for everyone. Then there are those people who, whether you like it or not, they cannot afford. These are the people we describe as indigents or who cannot afford basic necessities of life, including healthcare. And you had the percentage from Kasmwangangi, but according to the last Kenya National Bureau of Statistics census, we've identified 5.1 million households who are indigent in this country. So to get to UHC is that we obligate everyone to pay, and then those who cannot pay to be identified and supported. And as you can see, the government of Kenya, with Ministry of Health and Department of Social Protection, we've already started by the government sponsoring the first 20% or 1 million households. And the plan is to scale that up to ensure that we get to the 5.1 million households and to have a tool to identify them year in, year out, so that we continuously identify these people and support them. Because poverty or indigence, your status can vary at any point in time.
So then, even as you look at this, so we're looking at the challenges that were clearly evident with getting everybody in this pool, even before the suggestion of the UHC. That was a challenge, and I don't think we can run away from that.
Yes.
So looking at the fact that if UHC is to succeed, everybody has to be involved.
Correct.
So do you see then making this contribution mandatory as a way to reach that end?
Absolutely spot on. The contribution has to be made mandatory for us to be able to succeed. And by making it mandatory is also because, as you've seen, normal human behavior and even the challenges that we're having right now. Because right now, NHIF has been open to voluntary contributors since 1972 with all those benefits. But do people contribute? No, they do not. When do they come rushing to NHIF? When there is a need. And that is what has created also the problem that we are having right now, which we call adverse selection, whereby you see the pool of people who are contributing right now are those who are going to get major surgery, those who are consistently getting dialysis, etc. But that is something that we celebrate. And as we celebrate that and we want to scale that up, we have to make sure that NHIF also still remains sustainable. And that is how we ensure that everybody contributes. And the contribution of 17 shillings a day equivalent for a whole family, that is principal member, spouse, and up to N number of children would be covered for that whole raft of benefits. So I think it is, as a means of social protection, it is one of those things. And it's a commitment of His Excellency, the President, to ensure that we actually attain universal health coverage by next year, 2022.
17 shillings.
17 shillings.
Multiply by 30.
17 shillings per day. Multiply that by 30. You're looking around about 510 shillings per month. And that would essentially cover you as a principal member, your spouse, partner, and children, like you said.
Yes.
It looks like something that's attainable. It looks like something that's achievable.
Yes.
Now, having removed the number of people who are indigent, as you've said,
yes.
So essentially you're saying that everybody else, apart from those who have been identified, can actually afford to do this, right?
Correct.
Now, if you have that basic structure set up where you have the funds that you need, right? Everybody's contributing on a regular basis. You don't have these dormant accounts, like also another thing that has been the bane of this negative existence previously. Delivering this, NHIF has been given this huge responsibility as being the vehicle that would deliver UHC. Yes. That means that there's so many other things that you need to look at around the country. Infrastructure.
Yep.
Facilities. I mean, we know that Nairobi Metropolitan Service is doing a fantastic job in terms of putting up facilities in Nairobi, but there's the whole country to look at.
Yes.
Is the infrastructure available then upon which this vehicle can deliver UHC? Is it available to the point of satisfaction? Because you can have the service, but then you don't have the facility or the infrastructure.
Yeah, that's a great question. And right now, every Kenyan can access a facility, right? The challenge is that by accessing those services, it leads to about 1 million Kenyans becoming impoverished because you cannot sustain that out-of-pocket expenditure.
Yeah.
Now, looking at the infrastructure of NHIF, NHIF has been in existence for 55 years now. And currently, if you look at the spread, we have about 156 service centers spread across the country, 70 fully fledged branches, about 36 satellite clinics, and also at Huduma centers. Our provider network currently is 7,666, spread across the whole country. about 75% of them being government facilities, public facilities. And then the rest, a mix of private and faith-based. So the infrastructure does exist, and we're looking at ensuring that that actually is improved. We have to thank also devolution, because devolution has actually assisted also a lot of the public facilities to improve. You've seen what is happening with the level 4s, especially the level 5s. The services have really greatly improved. But also the investment by Ministry of Health at the level 2 and 3. And we're also looking at enhancement of the level 1 facility, level 1, which is at the community-based level. So the whole continuum of care is there and existing. And why is it that using, for example, NHIF as an insurance model is a sustainable one? Is because you and I become members, active members, and we go and access services at a facility. Then NHIF reimburses that facility. So what we create is a sustainable loop. And that is why these models, if you look at best practice also across in other countries, is a model that works. So the thing is to ensure, because this is risk-based, that also NHIF remains sustainable. And to remain sustainable, the first thing that happened, if you recall in the HEFREP, the Health Financing Experts Panel, who advised on a raft of reforms to ensure that NHIF is robust, sustainable, and transforms to become a strategic purchaser of health services, not passive. So that way we can be sustainable. And there were four big buckets of reforms. One of them was legislation, which is what we are now, hopefully we'll see it through. Then another one was digital transformation, because to handle that volume, now back also to your question, you require digitalization of our systems and processes to ensure that we're able to, number one, monitor and evaluate, be able to react in good time. And you can see the progress that we have been able to manage in the last couple of months with the biometric registration. We actually went fully e-claim from 11th of July this year, and our self-care platforms, and I hope that you download our app so that you can be able to interact. And then the other third bucket is on benefits. Working together with the Ministry of Health, we've been working towards improving the benefit package to the harmonized one that will ensure that everyone has services. Right now, we are using the super cover, which we have just proposed improvement on it to be able to attend to people's needs. And then, so with all this raft of benefits, we are ensuring that NHIF continues to be there,
to be sustainable,
and leave no one behind.
You know, one of the things that you've mentioned a number of times is sustainability of NHIF. But then if you look at the care-seeking behavior of many Kenyans, you will go to hospital for curative care. At that point when you're already sick.
Yes.
The investment, like you've said, in the counties at the national level is on the level 3, 4, 5s, but not much on the community level, which is where the promotive and preventive would be. Isn't that already a risk for NHIF? Because now we are talking about NHIF, people contributing, but people also having a higher risk of using the service because they'll fall sick, instead of the promotive side of things.
Yeah. Indeed, when we're looking at UHC, and even as we started, you have to look at the whole, it's a whole systems thinking, starting from preventive and promotive, and then to curative and even rehabilitative. Now, each component, the approach is a bit different. For example, as you mentioned, the preventive, promotive would be at primary care level. And there is a major investment going on at primary care level right now, spearheaded by the Ministry of Health, the county governments, to ensure that people are able to access that service. NHIF, in scaling up, is addressing the issues mostly of risk at point of access of services. So it is at a service provider level, because we reimburse services at that point. And indeed, we also still do a bit of preventive, because we offer vaccines. There's also issues to do with family planning. And all these are preventive issues. So, but when you understand the concept of insurance, whereby it's a risk that once you're exposed, then you pay for it. So it becomes very difficult to pay for a preventive where you have a pool of funds which are finite. They're not infinite.
I'm actually not even talking, I'm looking at it from holistically as government.
Yes.
So there's NHIF, which will be covering the reimbursements of the health facility.
Correct.
But then the government should be focusing a lot more on the promotive preventive. And you're saying there's a lot of work being done. Where, Dr. On level 1 on community. Which community?
But by the way, if you look at the counties, there's a lot of investment going on community health volunteers and community health workers. Even in terms of our promotions, we actually sometimes engage the facilities. Actually, even in Nairobi Metropolitan Services right now. And you saw the other day when His Excellency launched a couple of level 3 hospitals in Nairobi Metropolitan. And right now, we are on... we are going around scaling up, identifying the indigents who have been identified by the communities, by the county, to register them on NHIF. And the teams that we're actually using the community health volunteers and the community health workers at the ground level to assist that. So they are indeed playing a role in that. And you know also what as government also worked on, the user fees forgone at the level 2s, and also the investment, because if user fees forgone, it means that there's an investment in terms of commodities being sent there, etc. So indeed, it is a continuum, and we need, as you said, we look at it as a whole systems approach.
What you say is true. We had the Chief Officer of Health in the NMS sitting exactly where you're sitting,
right,
and he explained to us this same principle. What I'd like to know is, for this 510 shillings, what do I get?
And actually, it's 500 shillings. So it should be 16 point something. It was rounded off to 17. And for 500 shillings, this is what you get. You get outpatient services. You get inpatient services. In addition to that, we have special packages, and these have been developed to ensure that we meet the needs of our people. We have a surgical package, both from minor surgery to major and specialized surgery. We have renal care. So this is where you have dialysis, and this is one of the most popular and helping very, very many lives. Actually, at the moment, it actually accounts for 7% of our total expenditure just on dialysis. We have a renal transplant. So even up to transplant, it's being done. We have other packages like rehabilitative package for drug, let's say like drug abuse. We have packages that oncology, another very highly utilized package. All the way from diagnostic to treatment, even PET scans are covered, and chemotherapy. So all these packages are designed to meet the needs that are growing of people. Yeah.
What's the ceiling?
The ceiling?
Because package good, how much am I allowed to spend? How sick am I allowed to get?
Up to how much?
Great question. Our approach to the packages, and this goes to being able to offer services that are adequate to the people, is we do like package fees. So for example, if it's an oncology package, so for oncology, you'd get paid up to 6 sessions, up to about 100. And this has been in consultation with the specialists. So you'd find that if you're going for second line chemotherapy, for example, right now it's 100,000 per session, up to 6 sessions. That would take care of that. So we look at...
What if you require more?
Now, if you require more, if it is off, then it will have to go up to the limit. But what the packages have taken care of is majority of the occurrences. So if 1 out of 1 million in a month requires more than that, they would have to top up the extra. Because...
What I'm actually asking,
yes,
I understand that. is that is 500.
Yes.
What if I want to pay 1,000? What if I want to pay 2,000? What if I want to pay 3,000? What if I want to pay 5,000?
Great. Then, as we want to work also with private sector, is I would advise you, in addition to the NHIF cover, you can purchase a private insurance to augment what you're doing. Because our aim is to ensure that every Kenyan, from the indigent, has access.
Okay. So then is it possible, and just, coming off of that, Peter, is it possible then to have NHIF operate in such a way that you would not have to augment it by taking a private cover?
Yes, indeed. And in our contracts right now with the providers, we have two contracts. One contract is called comprehensive contract. The other one is non-comprehensive. In the comprehensive contract, the agreement with those facilities is that our members walk in and walk out without paying a single shilling. Okay? And they've agreed to all our tariffs, and they've agreed to all our package rates. And this is something that we'll make public. For the non-comprehensive, so that would be the higher-end hospitals, we still do our basic, the rebates, etc., and certain specialized services, which are covered. But for anything extra, then whoever chooses to go there would have to top up. So that way we are able to handle everyone across the board and be able to contain the costs while maintaining quality.
Let's take a break. It's 28 minutes to 8, Kenya's biggest conversation. We have with us in the studio the CEO of the NHIF, Dr. Peter Kamunyo. We are talking about the radical changes that are coming to the NHIF. There's a bill before the Senate now, and it proposes several things that Dr. Kamunyo tells us are good things, and we want to understand good how. And what does it mean to my pockets as a Kenyan? This is a conversation that we're having. If you've got any question, please just post it on our social media, SpiceFM KEU on Facebook or on Twitter, and we will ask Dr. Kamunyo to respond to them. Let's take this break, take a look at the traffic and the weather. We'll be back shortly.
.7 around the world, non-stop. This is Spice FM.
Follow your dreams to the land of the rising sun with a host of academic opportunities to pursue your undergraduate and postgraduate studies in Japan's leading universities. Visit www.studyinjapan-africa.com to find out how you can enroll to the program. They say the world can never run dry of talent. We just need to celebrate them. Join Jamal and the lovely Laura as they give us a brilliant showcase of 254's finest talent in the music industry and take us through great music hits. Watch Iwake every Saturday at 10 p.m. on KTN Home.
Bro, nasi watu wamejenga manyumba hii area. Kwanza angalia ile. Are you seeing that roof? That color? Sio ni nyumba mpya?
That's not a new house, bro. That's a Covermax roof.
Covermax?
Covermax. It's more than just a roof. It's color that lasts. Ukiweka, umeweka.
So whose new house is that anyway? Really nice.
Niangu.
How's that possible?
Good choice from me. Covermax didn't let me down. It's good to have a long-lasting roof when you have a family, you know?
Covermax roofing sheets with advanced color coating technology. A quality product from Mabati Rolling Mills.
What makes a man?
I had an advertising job that was toxic. It was difficult. I'm not saying the people were toxic. I don't think anyone is inherently toxic.
Don't ever let someone's perception of you become your reality.
How do we navigate through career, family, and life?
I was an average kid. I wasn't a poor student.
Examining what defines a man.
We derive our identity as men based on external factors, on things that people can be able to see.
A space for men to open their experiences and more. Starting Thursday, 18th November on the Standard Digital YouTube and Facebook page. Hosted by Eric Latiff. What makes a man?
I had an advertising job that was toxic. It was difficult. I'm not saying the people were
All right,
toxic.
sun's coming up in Nairobi. We will see highs of 27 and lows of 16 today. Mostly cloudy conditions at some parts, however. It's sunny in Nakuru at 15, highs of 28 and lows of 14. 12 will be the low in a sunny Nakuru in Nyeri right now, highs of 26. Eldoret is sunny at 14, highs of 25 and lows of 12 today. Mombasa, sunny conditions at 27, highs of 32 and lows of 26. And we're looking at Malindi, pretty sunny at 28, highs of 32 and lows of 27. Kisumu is sunny at 20, highs of 29 and lows of 19. And Kakamega is sunny at 16, highs of 29 and lows of 15. We're looking at a sunny Kampala today, highs of 29 and lows of 18. While Dar es Salaam is partly sunny at 26 with highs of 32. It'll come down to lows of 25. Johannesburg is sunny at 15, highs of 25. And we'll see highs of 33 in a partly cloudy Lagos, currently at 26. It's cloudy in Kinshasa, 22. That'll be today's low, going to highs of 32.
Spice up your life.
A lot can happen in 30 minutes on these Nairobi streets, and we're seeing that Langata Road is piled up, guys. It's hot, heavy, and thick on Jogo Road as well, coming from the eastern side of the city, going into the CBD today. Quite a mess there, as it then spills over onto Landis. Kamkunji then joining Haile Selassie in that avenue, in that direction. The avenue goes all the way through to railways, past the station, out towards the roundabout that connects with Mombasa Road. A lot of traffic there this morning. Uhuru Highway jam-packed from Nyayo Stadium to Westlands. Doesn't look pretty at all. What are you doing? Bagathi Way, which was your escape route, no longer at ease. Gong Road, also quite packed this morning, and we're looking at thicker superhighways piled up all the way, spilling to Outer Ring today, and then past to the Greater Thika Road. Where is everybody going, and where have you come from? Kiambu Road also quite packed this morning as well. Limuru Road that was free and clear before, guess what? Packed. Okay, we're in traffic hour completely. Now, let's see what it looks like shortly, but let us know what it is in your neck of the woods. SpiceFM KE on Twitter, text 40127.
.5 Spice FM, Kisumu. Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Mornings done
It's 2
right.
minutes to 8. This is
94.4 Spice FM.
Room on Spice FM and online. In the room is Eric Latiff, Ndu Okoh, CT Muga, and Dr. Peter Kamunyo, the CEO of the NHIF. The National Health Insurance Amendment Bill 2021 is now before the Senate. It is radical, Doc. One of the things that it's proposing is that if you're employed, you make a contribution to NHIF, and your employer matches your contribution to NHIF. Now, of course, this raises very many questions. Those who are employed and have a medical cover, does it mean that the employer now will be paying for you twice? One into NHIF and another one for this other cover by the office. And then where does that leave the other insurance industry? It appears like you're encroaching into their turf.
We are on a journey towards universal health coverage. And NHIF is a social health insurer. Currently, NHIF and everything that we pay draws 100% of its contributions from you and I. So it's either a voluntary contributor or my salary that is cut and contributes. So actually NHIF does not get any funding from anywhere. And we're going to social insurance. If you look at other countries that have been able to achieve UHC, the funding is vast, from self-funding and a lot of tax funding. And let's pick an example like Rwanda, for example. The employer contribution is 0.5% of gross salary. Then there's a whole raft, I think about 15 line items, which include, research money, fines, taxes on so many things to be able to fund their community-based health insurance. And it is fairly successful. Though even our benefits, I think, are a little bit higher. But if we look at here, even with the employer deductions, the statutory deductions, you'd be surprised to know that 13% of the contributors contribute actually less than 500 shillings, which is even less than what the Mamamboga out there, who doesn't know if she'll make a shilling or not per day. And actually 61% of the contributors is less than 1,000 shillings. So if we are really looking at going to get to universal health coverage, then we need to look at creating that sustainable model. And having the employers put their skin in the game is one that happens. Now without doing that, and you mentioned that now the ones paying for medical insurance will stop. In our conversation earlier, we're looking at, by the time you're paying for private medical insurance, it's because you want some extra benefits and extra perks. And that you'll be able to get. The number of people that we are talking about, privately insured, includes both employed and not employed, is about 2% of the population. In fact, in the last IRA report, shows about 2 million lives covered. If you talk about families, we're talking about just close to about 400,000 thereabout families. Whereas, when we're talking about social health insurance, we're talking about, 50 million? In fact, currently our membership at NHIF as principal members is about 13.8 million, though only less than half are actually active. So we're talking about 5-6 million who are active at the moment.
Active contributors to NHIF.
Principal members.
Okay.
And now you're comparing to 400,000. So if you look at the bigger picture and the direction that His Excellency the President is also taking us to ensure that we have UHC, we have to look at how do we ensure we create the sustainability. And also please note, even under the Employment Act, it is a responsibility of the employer to ensure that they have that but they have medical cover for their members. Now, if you look at those numbers, then it means majority actually do not.
Let me ask this question.
Yes.
If, say, for instance, I am employed,
yes,
and my employer contributes to NHIF,
yes,
am I allowed to also have my own private NHIF cover in addition to the one my employer has given me?
As an individual, we actually, you have your unique identifier. So there's no need of paying double because you won't get the double benefit.
Why not?
Because the benefit is per person.
Yes.
Yeah, and in fact, it's called something called like double insurance. Yes, which I saw somebody raising the other day, if husband and wife. But in that way, they're two individual beneficiaries, and their dependents can access the benefit. But you cannot have a double insurance. Even with private insurance, if you have two insurances, you'd have to consume one, then you consume the other. Or if there are two insurances, they might agree that, okay, then they will do a share, of the risk. So you cannot enjoy a double. If, let's say, you're going to have a payout, you won't get paid twice.
So
from the same insurer.
But based on what you've said, Doc,
Yes.
if you have spouses and they are both employed, they both have the cover.
Yeah.
And the assumption is that their
Yes.
dependents are covered with them.
Yes.
So spouse has the cover by virtue of the fact that they are working.
Yes.
Husband, wife, 3 children.
Yes.
On the other side, wife also has a job.
Yes.
She's covered.
Yes.
Her husband is
Yes.
covered by virtue of the fact that she is working, and then the children.
Yes.
What does that mean? It's still just one cover?
No, that will be those are two separate covers. Yes.
Okay.
So they will be able to have augmented, but they will not be able to pay for the same thing twice.
So if one person gets sick, for example,
Yes.
wife gets sick,
Yes.
she's got her cover by virtue of the fact that she's working.
Yes.
And she needs a little bit more to cover for this particular illness.
Yes.
She cannot draw on this second cover?
She can. Let
That
me
comes
give
from her husband?
She can. Let me give a practical example. Let's say their benefit limit was 50,000, and got sick, and unfortunately the bill came to 70,000. Yeah. So if it came to 70,000, her cover would be exhausted. Then one on top, then you can draw from the husband's cover.
Okay.
Yeah, so it can work like that.
Okay.
But however, if her benefit is 50,000, and let's say the bill was 40,000, you can now say that let me take
20 from here, 20 from here.
from there, because that is a benefit. Or if one has a reimbursement, let me get reimbursed on this one here while this one has paid for it. Now that one would not happen.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
I have a question here. Someone online has just called and they wanted to ask you a specific question. Let's hear from the Gitai Kanyeki. Is a police officer from Nairobi. Good morning, Gitai.
Good morning. How are you, brothers and one sister?
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning, brother. How are you?
How are you, Bwana Muga, my mwalimu?
I'm very well, thank you, Afande. And how is life?
For life is well. So now let me go straight to my question.
Yes.
Actually, mine is a complaint. Since 23rd, my wife actually on 23rd September, one of the hospitals in Nakuru declared her as dead. So when the system went to NHIF, the system saw that she's dead, so she has never gotten any treatment. I've been trying to call Nakuru, Nairobi, NHIF, nobody's helping. And even yesterday I was trying to call. Their lines are so busy. I'm asking the customer care to give me a specific person in Nairobi. They say they don't want to give me numbers. In Nakuru, I was told they actually misplaced a letter from that hospital, which they were supposed, even today, my wife is supposed to get treatment on, she has a problem on the eye, but she cannot access. So my question is, am I able to talk to Mr. Kamunya direct? He gives me his number, I just send him through WhatsApp the letter sent to NHIF Nakuru, so that action can be taken. Since 23rd September to date, my wife has never gotten any treatment because she's deemed to be dead.
Who declared her dead again? The hospital?
The hospital. I have the letter here. Even they wrote to me. They actually even sort of apologies. They wrote a letter to Nakuru branch. And up to date, my wife, even yesterday, my wife also wanted to go to one of the hospitals in Medihill because of the eye problem. She cannot access because she's dead. According to the system in NHIF, where a mistake was done by one of the hospitals. But now, how to get Nakuru people, wanakuzungusha pande hii na pande hii.
You know,
Nairobi,
you've asked the right question at the right time, because the CEO is here and he's going to respond to your question.
Yeah. So let him give me his number.
Wacha tusikie. Wacha
kuelezea kwanza.
Yes.
Dr. Kamunyo.
Yes. Bwana Gitahi, how are you?
I'm very fine, thank you.
Good. I think the first thing is that you were informed about that occurrence by the hospital.
No, it was actually, she had been gone to various hospitals, but at one of the points, I think the second time she went to Nakuru branch, sorry. That is when one of the staffs called that hospital and wakamwambia, nyinyi mnatuma mtu amekufa hapa. So she was actually even traumatized.
All right, so Bwana Gitahi, I think you will send the details over and we'll have a look at that. But meanwhile, this is something that actually can occur. And a lot of the times it's because of fraud. When we have impersonation, and actually have quite a number of cases that have happened this year. So somebody uses your card or your number, goes to hospital, and then unfortunately, they pass on. So when that happens, the system will register as a person. So I would really like to have the details, Bwana Gitahi, so that we can investigate. In fact, of the 19 active cases we have right now on medical fraud, a number of them are because of such occurrences. And sometimes this happens without the knowledge of the principal member. So we have fraudsters out there colluding with also sometimes the hospitals, and accessing services. And this is one of the biggest challenges that we have had, that we are looking at digitization being able to eliminate. But Bwana Gitahi, Pole, about that, please ensure you send your details, and we shall definitely look at that.
What we'll do, Gitahi, is we have your number, so we'll pass on your number to NHIF, and our producer John will then get in touch with you after the show. and see.
Thank you.
Once Dr. Kamunyo tells us how you can get helped.
Doc, even as we look at that, I think that's a really pertinent, and at the risk of comparing between then public and private, with like private insurance, once you access your insurance, the principal member gets a message in terms of, this has been docked. When you go to hospital or you're getting treatment or you're admitted, whatever, 25,000 has been used of your cover.
Yes.
So then you're aware if somebody else would have been using your card. Is this now part of this digitization that you're talking about, to have some of these things then regularized in that manner?
Indeed. And in fact, right now we're encouraging all our members to have their phone numbers registered. Right now, and with that number, if your card is used, you'll get a notification. If you go, one of the biggest complaints that we've been having is the authorizations taking long. So right now, as soon as your pre-authorization is lodged, you actually get to know. And when we approve, you get to know. So it is, we are highly encouraging everyone. As we do the biometric registration, we also ensure that our telephone numbers are registered so that you can be having that real-time alerts on your utilization and interaction with NHIF.
Beatrice in Mombasa also has a question. Good morning, Beatrice.
Morning, how are you?
Fine, thank you.
Okay, mine is just to ask the CEO. We have, the government have given out money to the old people, and you get that you realize most of the old people are not registered in NHIF. I have a case which I was called by one of my neighbor in a shamba in Kilifi, and they were telling me that I assist them with money to take the parent to the hospital because they don't have money. And I asked them if they are registered in NHIF. They say no. I asked them if they receive the money from the old age government project. They say yes. So I'm asking the CEO, why can't you work with the ministry and see if these old people can be be covered? At least even 500 can be removed, because it's not fair. You get somebody like her, the lady I was called, she's almost like 80 years, and they don't even have an NHIF. And the government have refused to take her because she doesn't have money. So I don't know what the planning for the old people. I don't know.
Let's hear from the doc.
Yeah. Thank you very much for that suggestion. And that is indeed the spirit of UHC, whereby everyone actually contributes, and especially the sponsored programs. And the government has been running the sponsored programs for quite a long time now. And the groups of people who have been sponsored include the elderly, severely disabled, orphaned and vulnerable children. That's under the health insurance subsidy program. So also ensuring that they're registered under social protection would help. And these are all the schemes that we are looking forward to consolidating and having all of them in the 5.1 million supported. And this also includes Linda Mama. I think I should have mentioned one of the big benefits that we've had over the years is the maternity one, Linda Mama. And the beauty of Linda Mama is to ensure that all our women actually have supervised delivery, whether they are members of NHIF or not. And on average, we are actually helping about 1 million women every year, which is actually one of the greatest achievements during the tenure of His Excellency. And this is something that we want to continue. But this will be rolled in together as we sponsor the indigents.
Off the back of what Beatrice is asking, are you saying that the people who are in the Inua Jamii program, the 70% and above, who are registered in that program, also have automatic access to NHIF?
No, they
or what do they need to do?
No, they also need to be registered under the HISP program, so that
there's a separate program,
so that their premiums can be paid. Remember what I said? NHIF is a national health insurance, so a premium has to be paid for you to become
by somebody
to become active, either yourself or your sponsor. Yeah.
The question she asked was: is it possible for the government to deduct it directly?
I think it's a good idea, and I think that is one conversation that we'll have with the ministry, as well as with social protection. And it's not something that is far from the thought process right now.
Because once that money gets into the hands of the people receiving it, for it to come out again.
Yeah, I mean, it's...
That's why obligation for those who can afford is very key. And you can see that even from people with need, it's not prioritized.
Among many other complaints that come in on NHIF is you're seeking health services, and then there's somebody somewhere in an NHIF office who sits and decides how much benefit you're going to get.
Yeah.
And it's not clear what they're using as a benchmark. You actually don't know.
Yeah.
Somebody has posted on Twitter and says, I work in the private sector. Unfortunately, whenever I go to seek medical services, I'm told NHIF can only cater for bed only if I'm admitted. Even on admission, it's a small percentage. What's the point of having NHIF? Is complaining.
Those are two questions.
Yep.
Number one, in our new benefit structure, we have standardized reimbursement across the board, depending on the CAF level. So hospitals that are level 3s, the reimbursement rate for services will be the same. Level 4, level 5, level 6, the same, whether private or public. So that will cure that challenge that has been there. So this is one of the key reforms that we've done. And right now we're in the new contracting cycle of 2021-2024, and we're going into it.
So, Doc, somebody can just choose the hospital they want to go to?
They can choose. Now,
there's no limit as to which hospital you can go to.
For inpatient, is absolutely any hospital on our panel. For inpatient, you can go.
So long as in the panel.
So long as it's on the panel. Yes. Okay. And on the panel, how many do we have right now? 7,666. The second question was on the bed only, etc. Remember what I said earlier. We have two contracts. That the two contracts will have comprehensive contract and non-comprehensive contract. In the non-comprehensive contract, the basics will still be covered. You will have a rebate if you go, and certain specialized services if they've been contracted. So that will be it. But on the comprehensive hospitals, it is a full suit.
So how do I know which is which?
Yes, as soon as we're done now with this contracting cycle, right now you can still get that from our service centers, but we'll also post this on the website because now this will be new contracts running from now until 2024. And they will be simpler and clearer.
As we conclude the conversation, I want to give you a moment to speak to Kenyans about sell NHIF and tell me why I ought to, when my daughter gets to 18, tell her, Jilipia NHIF.
Yes.
But there's a question here. Do you have an anonymous platform for reporting fraud?
We do have... Actually, that's one of the strategic intents that we're having right now. But right now, from our toll-free number, you can actually call, and it is fairly anonymized because we've been getting a lot of the fraud we're investigating right now has actually reported through our toll-free line and also through emails. And yes, we do have an email that is anonymized, because it goes directly to the key personnel who are concerned. And this we can be able to share. The toll-free number is 0800 720 601. And then fraud@nhif.or.ke.
Okay.
Yes.
So you've eaten your time now for giving that message. In 15 seconds.
Yes. NHIF is there for you and has been there for you. Nobody can be able to carry the risk of unexpected financial spend when you get sick. The only way to protect yourself is to ensure that your membership is active at all times. And we will be there with you to ensure that no one is left behind and you are covered at all times with NHIF.
Dr. Peter Kamunyo, CEO NHIF, thank you very much for joining us today.
Asante.
Come back again soon.
I'm looking forward. Let's hope that when the bill passes, you'll invite me.
Come, we celebrate. Yes, indeed. Thank you very much. Keep it right here. Good morning. It's 8 a.m.
Spice up your life. The latest news from around the world. 94.4 Spice FM.
This is Newswire. I'm Dennis Aseto. President Uhuru Kenyatta is on a 3-day state visit to South Africa. The president's visit at the invitation of his host, President Cyril Ramaphosa, is geared towards deepening the existing mutual beneficial ties between Kenya and South Africa. Today, President Kenyatta will be hosted to a formal welcome ceremony by President Ramaphosa at the Union Buildings in Pretoria, the official seat of the South African government. Speaking in Pretoria ahead of President Kenyatta's arrival, Ambassador Catherine Mwangi said the highlight of the state visit will be a bilateral meeting at the Union Buildings where some memorandum of understanding will be signed to anchor the engagement of the two countries in a number of areas. It's all systems go for the 7th Annual Devolution Conference that commences today in Makueni, where county governments will be seeking to adopt a common position on measures to mitigate climate change. The conference themed multi-level governance for climate action, subnational mobilization in unlocking the full potential of climate action during and after pandemics, is Kenya's inaugural climate meeting at the subnational level and is expected to cascade response to climate change to the grassroots. Coming hard on the heels of the Glasgow Climate Summit, where global leaders committed efforts to phase down the unabated use of coal and other forms of unclean energy, the Devolution Conference will seek to drum up support for climate action at the subnational level. Now, Deputy President William Ruto has now come out to state that he has not been campaigning but doing his job as given by Kenyans. He said that he has the mandate to tour different parts of the country and get feedback from Kenyans on government development projects. He said he is awaiting the green light from the Independent Electoral Boundaries Commission before he can officially start his campaigns. He says that his meetings with Kenyans is part of the government's assignment ostensibly to collect feedback on governance from Kenyans. The Judicial Service Commission has given a green light to petitions launched against High Court Judge Said Juma Chitembwe seeking his removal from office. In the petitions brought before the JSC, Justice Chitembwe's accusers want him relieved of his duties over alleged abuse of power. Amid the accusations, the Commission met and deliberated on the petitions and other allegations of impropriety and misconduct that have been brought to its attention. And after the meeting, Chief Justice Martha Koome-led Commission believes the judge must clear the air. JSC says Chitembwe has an opportunity to tell his side of the story. Koome disclosed that Chitembwe's feedback will be reviewed alongside all the allegations leveled against him by a special committee established to probe his conduct. These, it appears, will determine the fate of the under-fire judge in the corridors of justice. Now, a total of 626,620 youths have so far applied for the Kazimtani program 3 days after the registration exercise for the third phase of the National Hygiene Program was launched. Registration data available on November 21st showed Nairobi leading with 113,653, followed by Kiambu 44,689, Nakuru 33,305, Mombasa 32,548, Wajir 22,280, and Uasin Gishu 19,020. Principal Secretary, State Department for Housing and Urban Development Charles Enga said those with no access to internet will be able to register at the Huduma centers soon. Now, teenagers aged 15 to 18 years old in the country are set to be vaccinated against COVID-19 starting today. The rollout of vaccination for persons aged under 18 is in line with the approval of Pfizer by the World Health Organization for use on children aged 12 and above. Health Cabinet Secretary Muthui Kagwe notes that Pfizer is the only vaccine approved by WHO for the younger population. The Health Ministry said will at the same time launch an accelerated 10-day vaccination exercise to ensure that majority of the public get vaccinated, saying the target to vaccinate 10 million people by the end of December still stands. This edge Standard Group continues to urge you to get out there, get vaccinated so you can protect yourself and loved ones against COVID-19. And athletes have urged Athletics Kenya to take quick and stern action against rogue agents and managers who are exploiting athletes in the country. According to marathoner Christopher Komen, some agents and managers are preying on athletes' sweat, leaving them with nothing to show for their careers. Komen was speaking during an AK consultative forum held in Eldamara, Baringa County. Komen also urged AK to create an office that will hire professionals like physiotherapists who will assist upcoming athletes. This is Newswire. I'm Dennis Aseto.
.5 Spice FM, Kisumu.
Indeed, in the middle of traffic hour this morning, and we're seeing quite a lot of it coming out from that whole Westlands area into Kileleshwa out towards State House. Quite some traffic there as you get into the CBD there through the Arboretum. Specifically that area today, quite a lot. And this is then joining with the Uhuru Highway, then going back in the other direction of Westland. So their whole mishmash of traffic. Bagathi Way today, guys, absolutely jam-packed. Coming off of Langata Road, doesn't look pretty at all. Haile Selassie Avenue took it very early this morning and still is an issue now. Aerodrome Road also, which is your feed off onto Uhuru Highway. Traffic, and a little bit more. Jogo Road also continues. Thika Superhighway, hot and heavy this morning. Absolutely thumping with traffic today. Kiambu Road also. Limuru Road now, that was clear and free previously, not so much anymore. We're looking at traffic hour, and it's quite packed right now. We'll keep taking a look at it. Let us know, guys. Is it normal Tuesday traffic, or are you unnecessarily stuck? Let us know. We can share that information. SpiceFM KE on Twitter. Text 40127.
This is The Situation Room, the home of hard-hitting political commentary and penetrating insights about the state of the nation. This is a talk radio experience like no other. The Situation Room, a place for hard truths, debates, and elevated conversations. The Situation Room, witty, political, engaging, deep, controversial. In the room, we have C.T. Muga, researcher, academic, seasoned political observer, a fountain of wisdom in these politically uncertain times. Ndu Okoh, Nigerian by birth, Kenyan by choice, communications expert, Pan-Africanist, a truth seeker and believer in people power, and Eric Latiff, agent provocateur, the man in the chair, seasoned journalist, news hound, a man who believes in punching up, not down. This is The Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
It continues into the third hour this morning, this lovely Tuesday, 23rd day of November 2021. Let's get today's proverb with City Muga.
Heri kujikwaa kidole kuliko ulimi. The English translation is better to stumble with the toe than with the tongue.
Heri kujikwaa kidole kuliko ulimi.
Yes.
Okay. That is a good one. That is a good one. Now we have Nigerian by birth, Kenyan by choice, Ndu Okoh with us in the studio. Kenyan by birth and choice, Eric Latiff, and C.T. Muga, who is a global citizen. We also have Japan by birth and Kenyan by choice, Dr. Midori Diamond, who joins us now. Habari za asubuhi, daktari.
Ya, nzuri sana, habari za asubuhi.
Salama kabisa. Vizuri kuwa na wewe tena siku ya leo.
Ya, nimefurahi sana kuwa hapa.
Right. We are having a conversation about studying in Japan, and Dr. Midori is a Study in Japan coordinator with the Study in Japan Global Network Project. Today, we want to look at another university in Japan that offers programs in English, and they want as many Kenyans as possible to apply and go and have the undergraduate studies in Japan. Last week, we had a different university, and Dr. Midori, you've been telling us there are how many universities in Japan?
In almost 800 universities.
In Japan?
Yes.
And there is a policy by the government of Japan to encourage and open up for more foreigners to come and study and live and work in Japan. And now you are coordinating how many from Africa can go and study in Japan.
Almost like every year, if possible, we'd like to welcome 500 to 1,000 if possible. Yeah. But right now, we have in Japan, right now we have almost 2,500 students who are studying in Japan from Africa.
Okay.
Yeah.
And these are studying either from undergrad to postgrad?
Actually, postgraduate studies is more popular for Africans. So we'd like to increase more number of undergraduate students in Japan. Yeah.
Okay. And just for those who may have missed last week's conversation, it is because, again, the policy of Japan, you have an aging population, you want to open up for more people to come and interact with the community in Japan. So you go and study in Japan. Then after you finish your studies, you have an opportunity to work and live in Japan. And then the government will facilitate that for you as well.
Yes, that's true. Actually, the Japanese government, they are also like setting some new visa status for those who would like to be employed in Japan. Yeah, so even if you can't get the job before graduation, you can still make one year to stay there and to find out the job opportunities in Japan.
What population of Japan are aged above 70?
Oh, actually, right now, sorry, I don't have specific figure.
Okay, let me ask it differently.
Okay.
What age bracket in Japan comprises the greatest part of the population?
Right now, actually, the most of people, older than 60 years old.
That is the larger number of the population.
Yeah, I guess.
You'd be right.
I'd fit in there perfectly.
Yeah.
Yes.
This man is a minority in this country. Above 60. How many are you? About 200 people.
We are an endangered species in this country.
No.
In Japan, you'd be right at home. Last week, you also had a conversation from Japan with two Kenyans who both of them are actually working for universities in Japan. Today, we'll speak to one Kenyan who is a student in Japan. Yes. Cynthia Nandwa is a second-year master's student in the Graduate School of Engineering at Kyushu University. And she's joined by Professor Natalie Konomi, who's the manager of the Global Strategies Office at the same university. Good morning, ladies.
Good morning.
Good morning. Hello from Japan.
Hello.
It's good to have you on the line, and asanteni sana for joining us. First, tell us about the Kyushu University, Professor. Tell us about the university, the history of the university, where it's located, what kind of programs it offers.
Oh, yes. Thank you very much for having us. So Kyushu University is located in the south of Japan, which is in Kyushu. And here we're located in Fukuoka City, which is it's the fifth largest city actually in Japan with 1.6 million people living there. So it's a very, not too crowded, but also not empty city. And it's a very beautiful place. And Kyushu University is a national university. We're the fourth oldest university in Japan. We've been established in 1911. And we're one of the leading research-oriented universities. So we focus a lot on research, but of course also on education of undergraduates. So we have 12 undergraduate schools and 18 graduate schools and a university hospital and 5 research institutes. And we do focus a lot on science and engineering, for example. So one goal is having a carbon neutral society in the future. That's, for example, one focus of our research areas. I think that's like an overview of the university. We have about more than 18,000 students. Of those, 12%, so 2,300 students are international students. And about almost 100 students are from Africa, actually. And from Kenya, we have 14 students, which is the second largest number of students from Africa. And we're very happy that we have Cynthia here with us.
Oh, that's actually a good number. So, Cynthia, you're not alone when you're in Fukuoka. You are basically you there with some 13 other Kenyans, so you don't feel like you're really, really far from home. So tell us about your experience. Did you join Kyushu University for undergrad, or did you just go straight into the graduate school?
I joined from the master's program, but first I came here as a research student. So actually my application was spearheaded by my mom. She was the one who sent me the poster for the scholarship, and I decided to try my luck. And then I applied, and then I got the scholarship. So I was happy to come here and find that we are a big community, so sometimes we can speak in Swahili, and I feel right at home, so it's okay.
What has your experience been vis-a-vis your expectation? I mean, like you said, it was somebody also filled the application for you, or rather, prompted you to do so. So then you had an expectation going to another country, going to get an education in a different atmosphere from which you were raised, obviously. But what was your experience going to school and then experiencing a different culture there through education?
At first, I was really worried because I realized that this is Japan and their common language is Japanese. So I was worried about the language barrier. But when I came here, I was comforted by the fact that my uncle also lives in Japan. So I had family to begin with. And then when I started my studies, I realized also there's a very big English community here. So the Student Support Center are ready to help you and they can speak in English. And my classes are in English. So I had no problems at all with my studies. And I think also because I wanted to experience Japan as a whole, I decided to join also other activities. There's always an event for meeting people, like Japanese people, international people. I decided to try my luck in ballet dancing because it's always been a childhood dream of mine. And even though when you start as an adult, it's difficult, but I think I do okay. So my experience has been awesome. I like living in Japan.
Cynthia, what I'd like to know is, have you learned the Japanese language?
Yes, actually, I learned Japanese language, and Konomi Sensei, she's my Japanese teacher. So she taught me survival Japanese. I can go to the supermarket on my own. I don't have any problem. I can go to the restaurant, order food in Japanese. So the Japanese I know,
can you write a letter in Japan? Yeah. And can you write an essay in Japanese?
Oh, that is a totally different case.
Well, I'm making it a case because if you want to immerse yourself in a culture, one of the best ways is to know the language. So I would encourage you to learn that language so that you can actually immerse yourself in the Japanese culture fully.
Yes, that's my goal.
Thank you.
So I'm learning kanji. So I can write because they have free writing systems. There's the hiragana and katakana and kanji. So hiragana and katakana, I can do those. I can write in hiragana and katakana. But kanji is the one that is just, I just ask myself, what are these figures? They have strokes and they have orders. So I can recognize them, but maybe writing now is a challenge. But at least with technology, we have, like when you type in the computer, it can feel it for you. So sometimes I text in Japanese with the use of the technology, not by myself. So, yeah.
What are the other 13 Kenyan students doing there? What are they studying? And how long have they been there?
Actually, most of them are actually studying engineering. Some are in economics and law, but I think, most of the Kenyan students are actually in engineering. They do their masters here, master and doctors. And, actually at our university, we have 5 undergraduate programs where the students can come and they can get their degree only in English language. So before they come to Japan, they don't need to know Japanese at that point. So once they are in Japan, we, of course, recommend they take classes here at our university, which are for free, of course. So that's a good thing, I guess. And then for the graduate programs as well, everything can be done in English language only. So we have the international graduate program. So, but as you said, once you come to Japan, it's definitely very important to study the language. And it just makes life much more fun here.
I agree.
Right. Prof, from your experience, what have students then gone on to do after their education at Kyushu? So they finish, even if they go to an extended program, whether it's graduate or thereafter, what job market then has been available? Or where have you seen former students then being employed, for example? Or what have they gone into after their studies?
Right. So for our African students, to be honest, a lot of the Kenyan students, they actually come on the JICA program, so they return to Kenya. Then other in general, international students, if they go into an undergraduate program, they like to continue studying in Japan for a master degree. Those in the graduate program, when they graduate, we have those who decide actually to stay in Japan and work for a larger Japanese company. So the job opportunities are the prospects are very good for graduates of Kyushu University. But like a lot of students also like to go home and return to the home country. And from Cynthia, I know that she's looking for a job right now in Japan. So yeah.
Many of the times when we have this question, with these conversations, people would like to know what kind of money do they need? How much is the fees? What's the cost of living in Fukuoka like? Is it comparable to the other cities, for example, in Japan? So tell us a bit about that, Professor.
Yes, well, so the living expense or the expenses in general in Japan are, of course, higher than in other countries. So we're a national university, so our tuition fee is not as high as for private universities. That's a good thing about the national universities. So undergraduates, for example, pay about 535,000 Japanese yen, which is, I think in Kenyan shilling, it's almost the same number. And then graduates, it's the same amount per year. For the living expenses, for living in Fukuoka, actually, Fukuoka is very famous for being the city with the lowest rent and food costs of large cities in Japan. So we're about 20% cheaper as, for example, Tokyo, which makes it a little bit easier, a little bit. And so the monthly expenses for just living in Japan would be about 80,000 Japanese yen to about up to 115,000 Japanese yen, of course, depending on your lifestyle. So it would be, I think, about $730 US upwards. So that's about the expenses you have to calculate. So many students come on scholarship and do part-time jobs at the same time to be able to afford it.
Sure.
What kind of scholarships are on offer?
So we have, of course, the MEC scholarship, the government scholarship, which is the best scholarship ever and very, very competitive. So once, I always tell students they should definitely apply for it. If they get it, it makes their life so much easier. And then we have about 70 other different kinds of private organizations and foundations giving scholarships. I do have to point out, though, that most of these scholarships, you can only apply once you come to Japan and enroll, which makes it a little bit difficult for international students always. I know they rather have, know in advance that they will get a scholarship. But chances are quite good to get a scholarship, especially some regions in Africa, to be honest.
So would you say that there is enough?
I think there's actually a scholarship with.
Oh, right. Okay. So then I guess it's a double question to both of you then. So in terms of support, then is it enough for those who would be worried that, all right, this seems like something I want to pursue, but I'm not able to afford it? So is there adequate support to then be able to fill in the gaps that, money wouldn't? And then on the other hand, what is the journey? And that would be for you, Cynthia. How difficult or easy then was it to access scholarship, to access this support that would essentially help you pay for your tuition and other things?
So I am on the MEC scholarship. So my journey for this scholarship took approximately 1 year because there were many stages. There was an information stage where we were told about the scholarship and what you need to do when you're applying, and then you needed to submit the application. So after your application is accepted, you needed to do the English exam and the Japanese exam. But the Japanese exam was just to know about your level of Japanese so that they know if you need to take classes when you come here. So at that time, I didn't know any Japanese, so I was just doing my guesswork. But then when you do the English test, I think this is the one they concentrate on. So at least you need to be able to read, write, and speak in English. And then after this stage, when you pass this stage, they give you a certificate. So with this certificate, now you need to find universities that you can enroll. And then the universities will send you a letter of acceptance. And then you get the letter of acceptance, you take to the embassy. And then after that, now the embassy, they give you the scholarship. And afterwards, you come to Japan. So it took 1 year. And after you come here, I think the student stipend is enough to live on. You can actually survive with this money. But if you feel like you need more money, it's easy to find a part-time job or your free time. Maybe you can work during weekends, like 5 hours a day, and then you get your extra money and then you survive. But you can actually just survive on the student stipend. It's okay.
Oh, that's good. Let's take a break. at 25 minutes after 8, having a conversation about studying in Japan. And today we are focusing on Kyushu University, which we've been told is in the southern side of Japan, in Fukuoka city. And this is an old university, the fourth oldest university in Japan, established in 1911. Professor Natalie Konomi is a manager of the Global Strategies Office at the university, and Cynthia Nandwa is a Kenyan who is a second-year master's student at the Graduate School of Engineering in this particular university. They are giving us their experience of how to get there, what you need to do to apply. And of course, joining us in the studio is Dr. Midori Daimon. She is a Study in Japan coordinator with the Study in Japan Global Network Project. There's a lot of encouragement for you to think and consider going to study in Japan. You can thereafter live there, work there. You can come back here. It's 26 after 8. We're live on KTN Home, SpiceFM, and online. Let's take a break. We'll be back shortly. Good morning.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day. Spice up your life. 24/7, around the world, non-stop. This is Spice FM.
This is something people need to understand. Your money, my money, equals our money. We cannot have your money is our money and my money is my money.
The only way to live your best life is to create a balance between work, love, and play. The Adults in the Room is the only show on radio dedicated to educating Kenyans on how they can stay winning in life and in love. Text the word adult to 22840 to get the latest clips from Adults in the Room directly to your mobile phone. SMS adults to 22840.
You know, when you see someone being jailed, a governor or two or someone who stole, then people will fear. Because our problem is not the borrowing, it's the stealing.
We've become actually a nation of thieves. The only thing we lack is an opportunity to steal.
The guys who quote the Bible and say I'm a Christian and all that, and you know they're thieves. Return what you have stolen 4 times. If you know that you have property or anything that you have stolen, just return and say, my God does not allow me to hold stolen things.
We are also a reflection of you, because you elect us. You know, we don't get into our office by ourselves. We are a reflection of the people who elect us.
We don't want to go to the streets. We have a constitution that enables us, assert our will.
When the legislators are now being taken as hostage by the executive for whatever reason, we are now bound by what they want us to do.
This is just outside the realms of reality. We have impunity written into the DNA of our political class.
How old were you when you learned that Jeshi la Wokovu is Jeshi la Wokovu?
I can't say it very well.
And everyone knows.
The weather with Spice FM.
Cloudy conditions in Nairobi at 19, highs of 27 and lows of 16. In Nakuru, it's sunny at 17. We'll see highs of 28 and lows of 14. 12 will be the low in a sunny Nyeri at 17, highs of 26. It's also sunny in Eldoret. It'll go to highs of 25 and lows of 12 today. Mombasa, sprinkling in some parts at 28, highs of 32 and lows of 26. And we're looking at sunny conditions in Malindi at 29. We'll go to highs of 32 and lows of 27. Kisumu is partly cloudy, sunny at 22, highs of 29 and lows of 19, while in Kakamega it's sunny at 23, we'll see highs of 29 and lows of 15. Sunny conditions in Kampala at 20, highs of 29 and lows of 18, while Dar es Salaam is sunny at 27, highs of 32 and lows of 25. It's mostly cloudy in Johannesburg at 15, highs of 25 and lows of 10, and we're looking at rain conditions in Lagos at 25, highs of 33 and lows of 25, mostly cloudy at 23 in Kinshasa, highs of 32, lows of 22.
Are you ready? Okay.
Spice FM.
Still continues hot and heavy on the Thika Superhighway this morning as you're trying to come. Wow. Okay. The drive-in all the way down through to the Pangani underpass. Quite heavy. It's reducing on Kiambu Road, which is a good thing because that madness before would have drove you up the wall, literally. All right, coming out of Gigiri, that whole area, also Ruaka, and then there's something going on there. Red Hill, going then into Westlands from Peponi, that whole Westlands area coming out, then onto Waiyaki Way. Use the Red Hill Link Road then to get into the city. You don't have to necessarily come back into Westlands. So forget that whole story. Bagathi Way still continues to be a thing this morning, and we're also looking at Langata Road still heavy. Gong Road also spilling over into the city. Uhuru Highway, that whole stretch through into Westland, still taking the hit. Haile Selassie didn't take a break from 6 a.m. this morning, still continues, and we'll take a look at that in a short while and see what has happened. Jogger Road also still quite busy, folks. We're still in the middle of traffic hour. Let's see what happens in about half an hour. SpiceFM KE on Twitter, text 40127.
Spice and everything nice. All right. Okay.
Spice up your life. Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Mornings done right.
It's
94.4 Spice FM.
PM in Fukuoka, Japan, where our guests are this morning. Cynthia Nandua, a Kenyan second-year master's student in the Graduate School of Engineering at Kyushu University, and Professor Natalie Konomi, manager of the Global Strategies Office at the same university in Fukuoka, Japan. So I was just looking up Fukuoka to just understand. It's known for ancient temples, beaches, and modern shopping malls, including Canal City. Maizuru Park contains ruins of 17th century Fukuoka Castle. The central Hakaka district, Hakata, contains a temple which is home to a 10-meter wooden Buddha and a Hakata miniature folk museum. So tell us about the life and culture then of Fukuoka as we then get to entice us about coming to visit and study there. Cynthia, what have you experienced so far in terms of just going around the city? What have you found that's quite interesting?
Oh, I think I've been everywhere. Oh, not everywhere, but I think Fukuoka is a big, like a town. Like, for example, in Tenjin, I go window shopping in Tenjin. I visited the Buddha that you've just mentioned, and it's really huge when you see it from like face to face. And it was in Fukuoka that I had my first experience dancing ballet, like I mentioned earlier. So, and I've been able to meet many international students. Like now, I have global friends. So I think you can never lack anything to do in Fukuoka. There's even like beaches. My house used to be around a beach. So every morning I go jogging and I just enjoy the morning sunrise. And then at night I can go and enjoy the sunset. So I think life is good here. You should definitely encourage people to come.
Listening to you speak, I'm enticed. I'd like to visit that city because you seem happy with the city, excited with what you're seeing, and anyone listening to you would feel, I need to go to this place. That's making Cynthia so happy.
Yeah, it's awesome.
But so, Cynthia, let me ask the question. Since we're talking about this awesome place, would you consider staying there, or when you finish your course, would you like to rush back to Kenya, or would you want to perhaps now pursue a PhD?
Actually, maybe not PhD, but for me, I was thinking along the lines of finding a job, especially in Fukuoka. If I get in Fukuoka, I will be very happy to find a job because I love it here. I want to stay. Yeah, maybe I will come home for visiting, but I definitely am thinking about living in Japan for the long.
Cynthia, you don't sound like you're going to come home soon.
I will come home because I miss home. I miss home. I remember my first days here. I was so homesick, but I always get the consolation that I'm going to go home one day. So, yeah, I will come home because there's a saying that says it's east or west, home is the best. So I will definitely come home. But for working purposes, I'm thinking about Fukuoka as my number one.
If you were to compare where you live now to town city in Kenya, in terms of size, what would you compare it to?
Like, you mean in terms of size?
Yeah, which town or city in Nairobi, in Kenya, would you compare it to in terms of size?
Size, maybe. I'm not. How big is Fukuoka?
1.5 million.
Because, yeah, 1 million people. I think maybe Nairobi.
Nairobi is 4 million.
Nairobi has 4 million people.
Just, just so that you, it's around 3 times the number of people that you have in that city. But the thing about cities and the things that makes them unique are the things that you're saying, the things that people remember about it, the things that people experience. Because from what I hear you saying, you haven't actually said it loudly, you feel safe, you feel welcomed, you feel like, and that's why you'd like to stay. It's like home away from home. Now.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, I am going to take a stab and say, so if, let's say you have 3 other siblings and maybe 10 other relatives, would you encourage them to also apply and come and study and work in Japan?
Yeah, I would. And I actually have been doing that.
See? She's encouraging people to migrate.
She's Kenyan.
This is definitely, yes.
Yeah. And every year when my scholarship, they open every year. And every year I've been here, when I see the scholarship, I always send it to people back home. I'm like, please apply. This scholarship is open. Try your luck and come to Japan. So I always encourage people to come.
Professor, there's something I'd like to ask. In the time that you have been in that university, one, what courses have you found to be popular with students generally? That's one. 2, what courses have you found to be popular with the African students?
So, to be honest, it's quite similar, actually. A lot of the students really, really are interested in engineering-related subjects. So the engineering courses are very popular. But we also have a lot of students in our agriculture area, like bioenvironment, for example, are very popular courses. As I mentioned, we're very much focusing on environment-related issues in sciences here. So, for example, anything related to fuel cells or carbon-neutral societies. Also, though, from a different, from the point of economics, so the interdisciplinary point as well is very important. But engineering, to be honest, engineering and computer science are, sort of the most popular ones.
Okay.
With a lot of the students, and especially the students from Kenya.
Now, I'm thinking of the courses that are popular, and I'm thinking of the industrial might of Japan and the industries that Japan is known for. Do we have any such giant industries in that
city?
Yes, in that city. I'm asking, do we have huge industries in that city?
Oh, yeah. So in Fukuoka City, we also have a lot of, it's like also we'll have a lot of industries here. There's in various areas, so car-related and also, shipbuilding, for example, as well, because we're also close to the ocean. So Kyushu area has a lot of industry, and Kyushu University is working a lot with the industry. And that's why I guess the career process is so good also for our students once they graduate, because there are really, really many opportunities. If they're in chemistry, they go maybe to like a pharmaceutical company, there are just really, really so many opportunities.
Coming to you,
it covers anything in high tech.
Right. Coming to you, Midori, to have an education outside of Kenya, coming into Japan, and then for those who decide to come back, and because you mentioned engineering, Professor mentioned engineering as one of the ones that a lot of students go for. To be able to come back to Kenya and practice, and there's obviously certain certification that you need to go through to then come back and practice here in Kenya, for example, or any other country. Are there guarantees that as you're going and getting this education that you would have filled out the prerequisites or the minimum requirements for then further certification if you choose to come and practice? Because we've had some iffy situations before. People go study somewhere else, come back, you're a doctor, but then there's certain things that you were not trained for, so you cannot practice. Are there guarantees that, you come study in Japan, you can come back to Kenya and you'll be all right to work, and the professional bodies that require you to have this minimum will be satisfied?
Oh, all right. Thank you very much. What I know about the engineering, I never heard about those problems, which is not like qualified in Kenya, but it when you have the degree from Japan. And then actually, but there's some problems. Sometimes if you come back here in Kenya, there's the research environment or like some laboratory environment is a bit different from Japan. So sometimes the facility is not enough for continuing their research more here in Kenya. So there are those people that are trying to connect with Japanese scholars, even they come back here, and then they try to get good facilities here to set up their environment in Kenya. But another thing about, if you think about medicine, actually that medicine, if you go to graduate studies in medicine, it's fine. You can study there in Japan in English, and then you can come back with the techniques and skills to come back your home country. But if you think about the license of medical doctor, actually in Japan still they are offering license for those who can work in Japan as a doctor. So if you come back with that license, medical license, doctor license, you have to change it to Kenyan doctor medical certificate, medical license. Yeah, that is only one which you have to think about. Yeah.
I know we talk about studying in Japan and then working and living there, but is the other side also possible? Say, like you've said, you're a trained doctor in this country and you'd like to go and work in Japan. Is it possible? Is it easy for you to apply for that?
You mean
visa and work permit? So you're just a doctor, you're already trained, you are a qualified doctor here.
Okay.
You've already studied, you even have a master's and you've specialized in a certain field. Is it easy for you to apply and go and work in Japan? Or is this restricted to only the people who first study in Japan and then find it easier to work?
Actually, there's no restriction about those job opportunities, whether you studied there in Japan or you study here. But actually, there's some conditions which you have to follow. Sometimes you need to be qualified what you have and what they require you a bit different. And also if you study there, you know the system how to get job there in Japan. And so it's very easier to make the successful job interview or like good skills. They can show it, and also that maybe connection. Japanese people's connection with you is also very important. If you go there and study, you can develop the network.
There's also something that you've told us before, which is there are very many Japanese companies that are based in Japan, but they also have offices in other parts of the world, where if you went and studied and then started working in Japan, you can actually even be posted by these companies into other countries. Just tell us a bit about that.
Oh, okay. Now, actually, in Kenya, also there are many Japanese companies. They have branch here, and then also, of course, they are hiring employees Kenyan employees, local staff, and that one they don't require you to first study in Japan or what. But it's good to know the job environment. So sometimes they prefer someone who already studied in Japan because they know some communication skills in Japanese way, and also they have customs in Japanese way. Yeah, but of course, if you come back after graduation, when you come back here in Kenya or other countries in Africa, you can see that some opportunities for Japanese companies or maybe Embassy of Japan. Yeah, that's true.
You know, as you say this, what I keep thinking of is you have a situation where you have Japanese companies working on the continent of Africa, and if a company's origins is a certain country, one of the things that you will come with to this host country is the cultures and the way you do things. Now, is there a program that enables one let's say you talked about somebody from Kenya just being employed. Is there a way in which somebody can actually be inducted into the culture and the ways in which the Japanese handle their business, how they go about the things that they do? Because if, say today, I'm employed by a Japanese company, I will come in there with all my Kenyan and tribal cultures into that Japanese company. And in my mind, I will be doing things which I think are correct and the way I should do them. But they may be contrary completely to the way the Japanese look at things. So is there a program that inducts one into this culture so that one can at least work with minimum fuss and minimum interference?
Okay, actually those program right now I can't say it in details, but okay, that's actually what according to my understanding.
Yes.
Japanese companies they are when they come here they are also trying to they would like to require the Kenyan or local people to follow our policy, but at the same time they are trying to study their way, Kenyans' way or local people's way. So it's good. There's I don't know whether there is a program which you can learn about how Japanese job policy or customs, but they can still if you are employed, you still negotiate with them and then study, and also we learn each other and then to develop their opportunities.
The reason why I ask this is if, say, someone is an expert in a certain field, they will believe they have the knowledge in that field.
Yeah.
And usually, people who work with them and probably do not have their level of knowledge will need to up their game so that they can be at that same level. For instance, you talk about technology, okay? I look at the Japanese technology that I've seen in the bridges that they've built in this country, okay? Up until the time those bridges were put up, I personally had never seen such bridges before. I mean, I'd seen bridges, but not that sort of bridge.
Like which one?
Like when they put that Nyeri bridge. Before that Nyeri bridge was put up, I had never seen a bridge like that in my life. When the Sabaki River Bridge was put up, I had never seen a bridge like that in my life. But having seen one, I could now look at the technology and say, yeah, I can see how this works. Now, what I'm saying is, there is the idea of technology transfer and the way you go about things. I live in a place that has a very interesting contraption, okay? It's called a roundabout. Now, traffic lights were supposed to replace roundabouts. But this place where I live in a very small space, there are 3 roundabouts. Not 1 or 2, 3. Now, that road was built by the Japanese. Now, what I find interesting, there's 1 traffic light at 1 spot. There are 3, 1, 2, 3. But the roundabout, the idea of a roundabout and how this works, what I found fascinating is it actually complements the what? The street light. Now, that's technology. It's like somebody thought this thing through and determined. Now, I haven't, again, seen it anywhere else. In most places, if there's a roundabout, it's replaced by a traffic light. Or have I got this wrong? It's usually what happens. Now, the reason I'm giving this example is this. Cultures are not so much about just the way people do things. It's about the way they think. Okay? It's your thought processes that are expressed in the things that you do. Now, the Germans have a German school and they have the Goethe Institute. The French have the Alliance. Do the Japanese have a cultural center when somebody can actually learn Japanese and understand the ways of the Japanese?
Here in Kenya?
Here in Kenya.
In Kenya, now, actually, Embassy of Japan has a Japanese Culture Center. So there's a library, and also there's some events for Japanese culture. So you can go and study. And also Japanese language class. Also, they used to have. Right now, I don't know because of COVID-19 situation, but there's many opportunity you can learn from website or from their library. Yeah.
And it's only in Nairobi.
Yeah, actually in Nairobi. But I know that many high schools and also primary schools in Kenya, around Kenya. Some schools have Japanese club.
Actually, I was going there. Thank you for going there before me. That's where I was heading.
Sorry. Yeah. So you can know.
So we looked at the language possibly being a barrier, and Professor, you talked about that Japanese classes being offered for free while you're at school, so you have the opportunity to learn, right?
Yes.
And so then that shouldn't be a problem. So for you, Cynthia, going to Japan the first time and not speaking any Japanese whatsoever, tell us a little bit in Japanese what you have learned, where you started at zero and now you are speaking a little bit of it that you can actually go through school.
Okay.
Not that I would understand a word of what you were saying, but
So when I came here, I only knew konnichiwa, but now I can say hajimemashite. Watashi Shinshia desu. Kenya kara kimashita. Watashi no shumi wa bare to karaoke desu. Kazoku wa 10 nin imasu.
How do you say yes?
I've listened to that.
How
And
do you say fine, thank you?
What she has said, the only thing I got was karaoke.
Arigatou gozaimasu.
Arigato. There's something that you said earlier, Prof.
Even though I'm not Japanese.
Okay.
Professor, you said earlier that your university, Kyushu University, is really focused on engineering and research. It's big on engineering and research. Now, I'm assuming that it then complements what the city of Fukuoka does. Are there many engineering companies and research companies in that city?
Yes, of course, there are many in Fukuoka itself as well, but also in Kyushu, the whole large island in the south of Japan. Well, island always sounds kind of small, but it's a huge island. Of course, but many students also decide to go up to Tokyo or other cities, Osaka. But yeah, Fukuoka has really good opportunities, I think, for the students. And we do have, I kind of always mention it in engineering, but it's not only engineering, of course. But so Fukuoka also is trying to emphasize a lot of startup companies. That's something that Fukuoka City is focusing at the moment on. So we do have a lot of young people who want to become entrepreneurs, and also international students who are thinking about, setting up their own company, which will be also something interesting, I think.
When I hear of a place like Kyushu, how do you pronounce it again?
Kyushu, yeah,
Kyushu.
Yeah.
Yes, Kyushu. The thing that I find amazing is that in 1911, that's the previous century, somebody had actually thought of coming up with an institution of higher learning, and that the institution has somehow meshed into the development of that particular business ecosystem and industrial ecosystem, to the point where now other people are being invited to join in that success. Now, if you were asked, Professor, to advise a third world banana republic like ours, that is Kenya, on how it is to grow, what would you say are the key ingredients that you would need when you're thinking of creating a curriculum for university courses and hoping that this thought process would lead to growing the country in their commercial as well as industrial interests?
Well, I think whatever we set up, I think it's really important that we train creativeness. The people have to think open and really innovative to start something new for their countries. So I think that's one thing how it works for Fukuoka and for Japan in general. It was always trying to innovate something and create something new. And in Fukuoka, for example, we did have, we're very famous because we had we also called the gateway city for diplomacy and trading with Asian countries, because we did work a lot with our neighboring countries. So yeah, I'm totally blabbing away and not really answering your question, I think. But I think just train the people to be creative and innovative and, think and come up with ideas from like really young age, I think.
Okay. So we want to thank you very much for joining us today in this conversation. And now, as we conclude this, those who've been listening and they'd like, to get more information about your university, Kyushu University, and also know how to apply for whatever programs and also for scholarships, how do they go about this, Professor?
So they're very welcome to check our website. We have the Kyushu University website where we give a lot of information how they can get their scholarship. And you can download a lot of the pamphlets on the internet telling you everything on how to apply. If someone is interested in entering the graduate school, they, for example, have to first contact the professor actually at Kyushu University. And they can get information about the professor also on our website. So I think most schools you can find on our website, and I hope the link is somewhere. So yeah, definitely through our website.
Okay. But also, Midori-san, for people who would like to know about all the other 800 or so universities in Japan, they can come to your website. What's your website?
Yes, our website is www.studyinjapan-africa.com. studyinjapan-africa.com. So if you come to our website, you can also see many universities information. Also, we have SNS, Facebook, Twitter and Instagram and YouTube. So you can also visit our SNS so that you can also get the Kyushu University's information and also other universities' information.
Asante sana.
Yeah,
Thank you very much for joining us this morning, Professor Natalie Konomi and Cynthia Nandwa. Have a good day and good afternoon in Japan.
Thank you for having us.
Asante sana. And Dr. Midori Diamond, the Study in Japan coordinator with the Study in Japan Global Network. Thank you for joining us again today.
Yeah, asante sana.
Next week we have more Kenyans from a different university.
Yeah.
That's a good thing. Kenya's biggest conversation, it continues. We've been live on KTN Home. It's time for us to say goodbye to the audience on KTN Home, but we are on SpiceFM around the country and also online. SpiceFM KE, YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day. Spice up your life.
You know, when you see someone being jailed, a governor or two or someone who stole, then people will fear. Because our problem is not the borrowing, it's the stealing.
We've become actually a nation of thieves. The only thing we lack is an opportunity to steal.
The guys who quote the Bible and say, I'm a Christian and all that, and you know they're thieves. Return what you have stolen 4 times. If you know that you have property or anything that you have stolen, just return and say, my God does not allow me to hold stolen things.
We are also a reflection of you, because you elect us. You know, we don't get into our office by ourselves. We are a reflection of the people who elect us.
We don't want to go to the streets. We have a constitution that enables us to assert our will.
When the legislators are now being taken as hostage by the executive for whatever reason, we are now bound by what they want us to do.
This is just outside the realms of reality. We have impunity written into the DNA of our political class.
How old were you when you learned that Jeshi Lokop is Jeshi Lawokov?
I can't say it very well. No, Jeshi Lokop.
And everyone knows. Okay.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day. Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself.
All right,
Mornings
1.5 minutes
done
to the
right.
top of the hour. Remember, you can get all the information about studying in Japan on studyinjapan-africa.com. That's studyinjapan-africa.com. You get all the information about the various universities that are offering English programs. And like Midori-san has been saying, their focus now is getting more and more undergraduate students going to study in Japan. So you're there, maybe you're in high school or you have somebody, a relative, a friend who's in high school, who's just cleared high school and they're looking to the next phase of life. This is the place to go to and get all the information. And they can also see how they can apply for various scholarships. All the best and good luck with that. Next week on Tuesday, Midori-san will be back and we'll be talking about other universities that you can apply to and study in Japan. This is Kenya's biggest conversation. It is the Situation Room. It's CT Muga Ndu Okoh and Eric Latiff with you today. In the next hour, we open the phone lines for you to join the conversation, 0719-012-600. There's a lot that's happening. So from tomorrow, according to the Ministry of Health, you get the COVID vaccine, Pfizer COVID vaccine, if you're 15 and above. That is something. In about a month's time, if you don't have a COVID vaccine certificate, just forget about getting government services. This is also something we have to keep reminding people that. But the COVID vaccine is available all over the country. At least there's some 3 million unused vaccines. And you're one of 3 million who haven't gotten vaccinated, go get your jab. It's now 9 a.m.
Spice up your life. The latest news from around the world. 94.4 Spice FM.
This is Newswire. I'm Dennis Aseto. President Uhuru Kenyatta suspended the Jubilee Party NDC scheduled for the 30th of this month. The adjournment has also temporarily dashed many hopes of announcing a political merger between Jubilee and ODM, following rumors that Uhuru would have announced his support for ODM leader Raila Odinga to run for president in August next year. During the meeting, it was expected that President Kenyatta, who is also the Jubilee Party leader, would have laid it bare on who will succeed him in the 2022 presidential race. The 7th Annual Devolution Conference kicks off in Makueni County, where county governments will be seeking to adopt a common position on measures to mitigate climate change. The conference-themed multi-level governance for climate action is Kenya's inaugural climate meeting at the subnational level and is expected to cascade response to climate change to the grassroots, coming days after the Glasgow Climate Summit, where global leaders committed efforts to face down the unabated use of coal and other forms of unclean energy. The Devolution Conference will seek to drum up support for climate action at the subnational level. Now, 95% of the global health budget is used to treat cardiovascular diseases. The president of the World Heart Foundation, Professor Fausto Pinto, has stated that only 5% of the remaining 5% are used to prevent the spread of the disease. Speaking at the 15th Pan-African Society of Cardiology PASCA, which began yesterday in Mombasa, Pinto said there was need for nations to put in place strategies to prevent the spread of the disease.
Globally, we are spending about 95% of the health budgets on treating. Only about, it varies of course a little bit from country to country, but overall we have about 95% spent on treating, only about 5% on preventing. So it's totally skewed. And this shows, as my colleagues mentioned, the importance of supporting prevention measures. So 80% of the diseases, of cardiovascular disease, could be prevented, although we are spending most of our budget is treating.
Pinto's statement has been supported by various experts attending the conference.
We realize probably in the next 10 to 15 years in sub-Saharan Africa that more people will die from heart attacks and from many other conditions. Then we kind of need to start thinking strategically about how we're going to manage heart attacks. At the moment, the Coast General Hospital have opened heart attack suite, but it's really in a small sector. There are many counties which don't have even primordial systems of care or even organizational structure. So
we know the problem. As far as there are so many factors which made this a problem.
The conference will end on Thursday this week. Trans Nzoia woman representative Janet Nangabo says it will be difficult for One Kenya Alliance leaders to agree and nominate one of them to fly the presidential flag during next year's general election. Nangabo said the leaders should reconsider their political stance given that President Uhuru Kenyatta has shown signs of supporting ODM leader Raila Odinga as the 5th president. She warned their male counterparts that should they fail in their roles, then women will take over and show good leadership. Marsabit County has been named as the most suitable county to set up a spaceport. It was named by the Wanda Africa Group, Longshot Space Technology, and a team of students, engineering researchers drawn from Kenyatta and Nairobi universities, which examined the viability of establishing a spaceport in Kenya. Marsabit emerged the winner from a list of 7 key contenders, including Laikipia, Kilifi, Tana River, Isiolo, Turkana, and Narok counties. Kenya Space Agency Director General Colonel Hilary Kipkosgei says the benefit of establishing a spaceport capable of launching rockets within Kenya and numerous and would positively impact on the growth of the country. Now, Eliud Kipchoge will look to become the only third man in history to win the World Athletics Male Athlete of the Year award 3 times or more after he made the final shortlist of 5 for the 2021 award. The Olympic champion and marathon world record holder won the award in 2018 and 2019. Only Moroccan 1500 meters legend Hichem El Grouj and Jamaican sprinter Usain Bolt have won the award thrice or more. Kipchoge has made the final shortlist alongside fellow global sport teammate Joshua Cheptegei, who is looking for the first ever award after a stellar 2021 campaign. While Kipchoge only competed in 2 events in 2021, the Athletics Marathon Day and the Olympic Games in Sapporo, Japan, winning both, Cheptegei walked away from Tokyo with 2 medals. He won gold in the 5,000 meters, becoming the first ever Ugandan to win the race, as well as silver in the 10,000 meters race. This is Newswire. Dennis Aseto.
.4 Spice FM, Nairobi.
Yes, still in traffic hour, guys. Quite a lot of it around the city, no matter where you look. Okay, we've not looked at Mombasa Road this morning. How can such a thing have happened? It's good that we didn't, because there is still quite some, especially around that whole Embakasi area. That heading out to North Airport Road, that is slowed down quite some. Southern Bypass looking pretty good this morning. Not much traffic. Even when you get to Langata Road, it keeps going. Not an issue whatsoever. Use that as your option to get out of the madness. That is Uhuru Highway today. We're also looking at Langata Road. Still quite some drama this morning. Coming off Thika Superhighway still continues. Kiambu Road, not too bad now. As you get towards the Pangani underpass, you should be able to have smooth sailing into the city. All right. That's it for now. Let's see what it looks like later. Can you help us out if you're stuck somewhere? I hope you're not. And if it's flowing freely where you are, let us know. SpiceFMKE on Twitter. Text 40127.
This is The Situation Room, the home of hard-hitting political commentary and penetrating insights about the state of the nation. This is a talk radio experience like no other. The Situation Room, a place for hard truths, debates, and elevated conversations. The Situation Room, witty, political, engaging, deep, controversial. In the room, we have C.T. Muga, researcher, academic, seasoned political observer, a fountain of wisdom in these politically uncertain times. Ndu Okoh, Nigerian by birth, Kenyan by choice, communications expert, Pan-Africanist, a truth seeker and believer in people power, and Eric Latiff, agent provocateur, the man in the chair, seasoned journalist, news hound, a man who believes in punching up, not down. This is the Situation Room. The only way to
conversation, the Situation Room, getting into the final hour of the show this morning. Eric Latiff, Ndu Okoh, and CT Muga with you. And CT has the day's proverb.
Yes. Heri kujikwa kidole kuliko ulimi.
Wait. Say that again.
Heri kujikwa kidole kuliko ulimi. It is better to stumble with the toe than with the tongue.
Both being yours.
Yep. T and T. Toe and tongue. Yes.
Do you agree?
Yes.
What exactly do you agree with?
It's better to stab your toe than to stab your tongue.
You said that yes a bit quickly.
It's better to stab your toe than stumble with your tongue.
So
Abi? That's what you talk.
That's what you agree with?
I know. Is that not what you said?
That is precisely what I said. And you agree with what I said?
Yes, sir.
Which part of it do you agree with?
City.
Yes?
The toe part.
And the tongue.
Now, there's a story, an interesting story in a paper today. The headline, Uhuru Central Parks set for world-class upgrade. Not Uhuru, the president. Uhuru Park and Central Park set for world-class upgrade. In July this year, the Nairobi Metropolitan Services Director General, Lieutenant General Mohammed Badi, promised to transform Uhuru and Central Parks to the standards of similar facilities in Dubai. 3 months later, groundbreaking of the transformation journey of the two iconic public works has begun. The two parks are now set to boast state-of-the-art modern facilities and amenities, lifting the once deplorable recreational sites into modern green areas. Now, which one is Uhuru Park? Which one is Central Park?
According to Eric Latiff, if you are driving to town and you are on Valley Road, the park that is on your right, that is Uhuru Park. On your left, where you see Serena Hotel, that is Central Park.
Yes.
Yes.
The park between Valley Road, no, that section is still Kenyatta Avenue.
No, on your way, I'm using Valley Road as you're going down.
See, Valley Road ends at Pan-Afric.
Okay.
So this is Kenyatta Avenue. So between Kenyatta Avenue and Nyeri Road and Uhuru Highway, that's a triangle, Central Park. You get it? You get it?
You get it? Forget about it.
You don't get it.
You don't get it.
You don't get it. Forget about it. The other one is the section now between Kenyatta Avenue, Haile Selassie Avenue, Uhuru Highway,
Ngong Road.
And this other one that cuts across Kina Athi House, Kina Afia House is called what?
Which one?
That road up. No, the one going to Afia House.
That's Ngong Road.
No.
Ngong Road is in the extreme side.
Oh, coming from Community, that still continues.
Yeah.
No, you talk about that windy road that you sort of like use.
From Community coming down through into Uhuru Park, and then you get onto Haile Selassie.
What is it called?
Amazing, isn't it?
Hold on.
Check the map. Check.
Haile Selassie.
Check the map.
We need to get our roads right. We know Ngong Road is at the end of it, but in between there's a road.
Gong Road.
And where does Ngong Road begin?
I think it's... Honestly, you've asked the question. Does it begin at the railway
Ngong
station?
Road begins not at the railway station, after Club.
After railway club?
Yes.
That's where Ngong Road begins?
Yes.
So that road...
Is Haile Selassie.
No. Going down...
Bishop's Road.
Past the Polytechnic. What's that road called?
That's Haile Selassie.
That's Haile Selassie. Haile Selassie.
Haile Selassie Avenue.
Yeah.
Yes.
Haile Selassie Avenue starts all the way from the Kamkunji roundabout and it takes you all the way to the roundabout coming off Uhuru Highway. This one.
Okay.
And past Uhuru Highway.
Okay.
All the way past NHIF.
No. Got it.
To the library.
Got it. The Uhuru Highway thing is what was... Yes.
It is it.
Got it.
It's where you are finishing the road.
Yeah, got it.
Okay.
Now
So that is Uhuru Parks. Now, shall we continue?
Yes.
So Badi says, this one, I am going to bring Dubai here. Uhuru Park, Central Park. Transform them. What are these transformations? Now, the reason I'm reading this is because over the weekend, there was footage and photos going around. Uhuru Park has been nyakuliwad. It's gone. Oh, you were telling us that road is Bishop's Road?
The windy one.
The windy one?
Yes.
The one that you go into Kilimo House, into Afia House.
And then up where the big flag is.
Nice. It's good to know our roads. So, the 12.9 hectares park will boast manicured lawns, maintained trees, enhanced walkways, and green spaces. The Lilies Pond at the park will be turned into an aquarium to be known as Uhuru Aquaspace. While the Uhuru Aquascape. While the larger artificial lake will be transformed into a major waterfront with Swahili restaurants just alongside it. See where people go with doing the thingy with the feet on the boat. With the boats.
The boat thing in
that
the
one.
yes.
It'll be transformed into a major waterfront. There'll also be terraced seating areas with biosphere look, a dancing fountain put up along the processional way, and several eateries as well as 2 high-end restaurants. Central Park will have an outdoor library for use by children to read, and it will also be used for book launches. There'll also be an outdoor amphitheater fitted with an audio-visual screen, an events garden, as well as a children's play area incorporating bouncing castle, merry-go-rounds, among others. This park will also have a monument to honor health workers who have lost their lives battling COVID-19 pandemic. The iconic Nyayo statue and Mau Mau freedom fighters monuments will be maintained. Further, a botanical space with all species of flowers and plants to capture flora of Kenya's biodiversity with the flowers and plants labeled to enhance learning will be established. All these things are happening in that park. The parks will also have management offices, event spaces, ablution facilities, physical exercise spaces, tourist attractions. To improve security, the park will be fenced with gates which will be manned. Lieutenant General Badi said the upgrade of the two parks is part of an ongoing program by the NMS to improve, rehabilitate and retrofit Nairobi's urban parks and green spaces. The program will see the parks revitalized to create world-class recreational facilities aimed at upholding the park's dignity and making them world-class tourist destinations. My friend, umesikia hiyo?
Yes, I've heard.
There'll be restaurants, world-class restaurants, some water features, some benches, some places for physical exercise, more toilet facilities. Hopefully they'll be working. I'm sure they'll install dustbins. There'll be water from the pond.
Okay, the lily pad.
From the lily pond, which will now be transformed into something called aquascape.
Come on.
Don't joke. And the Uhuru Park of politics will still be there. The podium and the sitting terrace.
Oh, which, by the way, is being refurbished as we speak.
See that one now.
Yeah.
And then on the other side of Professional Way, there'll be some restaurants there.
I think it's laudable.
And you see the place where right now there's a kids place where kids go to learn driving and safety. So that will also now be a library for kids to go and learn. There'll be another library.
Well done. Okay, it's nice. It's good.
It's laudable. Go ahead.
It is. What I am a little concerned about, when you're talking about public spaces, do we have a public place? How many public places do we have in the east of the city of Nairobi? Because
east.
Yes, east.
Got it.
Going towards Machakos,
towards the sun.
Yeah.
Yes. Because the vast majority of the people who we actually say comprise the population of this city actually come from that particular part of it.
Yep.
And given the numbers, I would think that the logical thing was to also have, maybe they are there, but I don't know, recreational spaces for all those people, because every Sunday or a public holiday, the number of people who troop into Uhuru Park are really very many.
Yep.
And what it tells me is that wherever they come from, they don't have a similar
They don't have anything close
and
to
that they're looking for something.
Yes, precisely.
Yeah.
It's true. Also, the other thing you remember, a couple of weeks back, there was a story which was concern being raised by MCAs at the county assembly about what Kenyans are doing with these spaces that are just called roundabouts. For example, at the roundabout near Roasters heading towards Garden City, that overpass,
yes,
there's that open space there. And the MCAs are complaining now people are going there to sleep on the grass there. And this is just a roundabout.
So what
do you want to do?
And the issue was?
That's the thing. You see, it tells you they don't have any recreational open spaces.
Precisely, and that these MCAs also have absolutely zero imagination. Instead of whining and pining and
they should actually work on transforming that. Make it work for the people. It is serving a purpose. It tells you it is serving a purpose. And it's an open space. That whole area, yes, as you're heading towards Safari Park Hotel,
yes,
after you've done the heading towards Roasters, that entire space there, between the Thika Road and there's some supermarkets there.
You know, the only so-called open space that you can speak of is a golf club. But it's a private members club. Now, tell me, that was Eastlands. Let's go on Thika Road.
Yep.
The population on that road, man, it is huge.
Yep.
You only need to consider the traffic that we speak of every single day. Horrendous. Now, tell me, surely in the planning of this city, there must have been a plan for some open space somewhere in that part. Because if you're going to plan to put up all these structures,
concrete.
people, yes, surely this It's a basic requirement in a plan. Just like it's basic to have a school, basic to have health facility.
Yep.
It's basic. So where are the open spaces for the citizens in these places? Where are they?
Well, then I think it goes to show you that then that doesn't come in the list of considerations of what needs to happen when we're talking about livelihoods of people. That your recreation or that your let down moments are not on the list. That it's not taken into consideration that even as you're in this rat race, that there will be a need for you at some point to debunk, right? There will be a need for you at some point to stop and just let all the pressure out. It's not taken into consideration because if it were, it would go into the planning directly of cities, it would go into the planning of towns. Even if it had not been done in the initial stages, there would then be something that came about later in terms of policy where it says, okay, you know what we're going to do? We're going to take this space and we're going to make it a recreational facility, or we're going to leave it open because we understand how important it is for people to take time out of the madness and just be. That thing of people going to lie down on the grass, do you think it is because they don't have home to go to?
Nope.
No. Or people who troop into the metropolis on Sunday or over the weekend. Why do they do that? They could as well stay at home. But what are they looking for? They're looking for an outlet to diffuse this thing so that I can have a Husa moment. And it is extremely important. But it goes to show that that importance is not taken into consideration when you're planning all these other things. When you're building hospitals, when you're building schools, when you're building an expressway, it's not taken into consideration that these citizens for whom you are working for, quote unquote, need a moment.
You know, I want to say, if indeed General Badi goes ahead to actualize what he said with the Uhuru Park, that will be a fantastic thing.
Beautiful.
It will be a fantastic thing because it's a beginning of something. So work happens at Uhuru Park and it makes it a proper park, which says if you come to Uhuru Park, you are coming to enjoy. There'll be a variety of things you can enjoy. There'll be a variety of activities and things you can do. There are benches you can sit on, not just looking for a place which has a bit of grass because all the grass has been trampled on. There's actually manicured lawns, there are benches, there are trees, there's shaded areas. There are all these activities for kids to play because you brought the kids. They're not going to lie on the grass.
No.
They want to run around. There are bouncy castles and all those things. If indeed he transforms it this way, fantastic. It brings in the question. The Aga Khan Foundation had signed a deal witnessed by the Aga Khan himself, His Highness, and the President for City Park. Transformation of City Park to similar kind of thing. Jogging tracks, facilities, sporting facilities, walking areas, recreational areas. That story has never moved.
From the pronouncement.
That was it. It died. Okay, the president, through the military, are working on Uhuru Gardens. It's been blocked off for the last 1.5 years or so. There are very many structures that are coming up there. So there are libraries coming up. There's all. Hopefully, it'll be something that you can go into. So there's a library in here. You find a presidential library. You can get speeches and written materials. You can get other things about the country, about the journey towards independence. It's a learning environment, which is also recreational. Fantastic. It says that it's actually possible. It's doable. Now, the thing is, those people who want to be elected to go to City Hall as our MCAs, if they're not telling us about other things that can be done, especially like you're saying, in the densely populated areas of this city, finding those places that have been designated for community and starting to transform them, allocating budgets, we are lost.
Well, you can't even say we are far. You're not even far. It's not there.
It's not.
You can say you're far from point A to point B. You're far.
Eh.
This one, point A, doesn't exist. So it's not even. Where will you find it?
It's just a concept.
Not designated. So I do agree that if General Badi is able to deliver this thing, you would see, because rack it up also to an income generation for the service.
People who will be vending there.
Exactly. Nairobi, people who come in from different parts to operate businesses. There's so many things you can do. But are we looking at how important it is for then people to be able to relax? It's go, 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 go. It's lament, lament, lament. It's look for coming to the city to look for business, go back home, do it again the next day. But I think by the time you're getting to the point where you realize that this is important to have, then I think now you've maybe taken a step up in terms of development. Truth be told, look at the major cities of the world. You have free outdoor gyms, for example, equipped. You have drinking fountains. You have places where people can actually go take a nap in the middle of the day. You have free showers, things like that. You have wide open spaces where businesses are operating. People leave their offices with their lunch and go and sit in an open area and then come back
have
to
lunch,
work.
come back.
Provided by the city.
With all the amenities provided there. The washrooms there's water, there are dustbins. So you go, you come back.
Remember when we had this conversation with Constant Kapp and Velma Kiome, and they're talking about some of the things that have happened on some of our more illustrious streets.
Yes.
Can you imagine you're walking in the city of Nairobi and you suddenly find an enclave and a bench where you can actually just go and sit? Just sit. It's a good thing.
Yep.
The number of people who trample the streets of Nairobi, very many of them are not sure what it is that they're going to do that day beyond walking. Many of them are not even sure whether they're going to eat. Many of them are not even sure what the next day is going to bring about. But even if you have that certainty, a place to simply just sit and contemplate.
Yeah, your next move
You
waiting
walk
for
away from
something.
the office.
Go, chill.
Go and sit there and count cars. Whatever it is. Somehow this doesn't seem to be important. But remember, when you have a situation where people go and grab road reserves and they think it is okay, they even present you titles with road reserves. It's a unique madness, okay? But it's peculiar only to our people. It's not that these public spaces don't exist. They were taken. You're talking about people who will even take spaces that are meant for schools. It's designated space for schools, for children, for posterity. Somebody goes and hives off a chunk of it.
So are we saying that these things are not put into place, they're not established because, I think about it and I say, okay, because it's not considered, or that on the list of things to do, there's so many other things that take priority or that take up the space, then it's not considered because on the list of priority, it's down there. These things are not done because it's not priority, it's not considered that's important for people to do, or there's not enough in terms of funding, availability of funding. What exactly are we looking at as the reason why this is not done?
In my mind, it falls in the list of historical injustices. Because you will find that in the planning of this city, those spaces were made available.
Yes.
They were considered. And it was known, this space is meant for this. Somewhere, why I'm calling it a historical injustice, is somewhere along the line, somebody decided, hey, space.
Space what? Space. Empty space.
All of this. Says, okay, I can't stay. I don't want all of it. Just a bit.
And then the other person comes
a little bit.
I also want a little.
Yes. Before you know it,
boom.
That's it. The space that's supposed to be the public space isn't even enough to sit on.
And these people who are grabbing will go to City Hall and get approvals to put up structures there. And there'll be nobody who says, I cannot authorize anything to be put up here.
This is a public space.
It's a public space. Why? Because documents disappeared a long time ago. So even this person who's approving has no clue where this piece of land is. Remember the work that was being done by the Ministry of Lands? Just doing the special thing of looking at where exactly, what are you talking about?
Did you hear the noise that accompanied it?
Oh.
Because they know. Now, when you talk about historical injustices, if you can recover those documents, you'll suddenly find that there are very many people who think they own property and it isn't theirs. Remember, riparian land? All these things, there have been attempts on and off historically to try and set it right. When the Right Honourable former immediate Prime Minister was Minister for Roads and Housing and what have you, remember there was this blitz where the government was reclaiming road reserves?
Yes.
Yep.
They did. My friend, At some level, I felt pain for some people. At some level.
Man, houses were coming down.
No,
Not
somewhat.
houses, man. Mansions.
Yes, my friend.
But even the one bedrooms that were coming down, people, that was somebody's mansion.
That's somebody's mansion.
Yes, that they had worked their whole life for.
You know that thing brings you to zero.
Yeah.
Sorry, it's actually negative.
Yep.
Because if you borrowed
Takes
money
you
to
back.
put it up, the bank wants their money.
Yes, so they don't
care.
know whether it's riparian land or not.
Because you produced a title deed, legal title deed. Now, just think of the recreational benefits that the citizens of this country lose when such individuals determine
Good choice. Yeah.
good choice of
Yes,
words,
yes,
yes.
yes.
Such individuals choose to take property that is meant for posterity and for everyone for themselves, because that's what they've done. Can you imagine? Let us say somebody went and put a block of flats, all right? You know that roundabout at GPO, public space, a block of flats right in the middle. How would it look?
Like a sore thumb, I think.
That's what, yes. Right now, to understand it, look at this expressway. You know, we are forced to drive on that expressway every day, so we see it. And by the way, the progress that was there last month is the same progress that is there this month, just so that you understand.
It's different.
And if you really want to understand, the progress that was there the month before that one is the same progress that is there now.
It's different.
The only difference is that when you're coming into, when you're driving on Mombasa Road, the time they gave us this diversion where we were given a quarter of the road to drive on if you're going towards the airport. Okay?
Yeah, that has been sealed off.
It's been sealed off now. We're back
There's
to the
a
road that
proper
we're using
roundabout.
before. So when I tell you that it
Progress.
is the same thing, the only difference was that we were given a diversion. Now we're back on the road that we're using before.
Yeah.
Okay?
That's progress.
And that road hasn't been built new. It was there before. So when I say it was the same progress, this is what I mean. Now this story of it, this particular expressway being complete by the time you're told.
They told you, City, by end of December, the viaduct structure will be complete.
I personally like to stretch my imagination.
By end of December.
But I don't believe it.
You
Which
see the
December?
the junction that comes
can you
from
specify?
this December,
Oh,
2021.
this 20, okay.
21.
You know, he's talking about next month.
Yes,
Like
end of next
December,
month.
like it's far.
Southern bypass joining the expressway. Have you seen that curve that they've done?
Yes,
Yeah,
I've
now
seen
they've
it.
covered
It's
it.
complete, and you see it's
You know, we pass something every day.
Yeah, there is progress, Buana.
I am not saying
End of
there is no
this,
progress.
the viaduct will be up now.
Oh,
Whether now.
By
they
the way,
get
Eric,
this.
you do have a point, because even if you're driving towards Westlands, okay?
Yes.
That rhino charge terrain that we're using to actually sort of like move towards Westlands, it has been closed. We're now using the road that had previously been there, and we can now use it. So again, the road was there before, okay?
What's happening above you is what you should be focusing on. Let's take a break. It's 28 minutes to 10. Kenya's biggest conversation. This is the Situation Room on SpiceFM, and we're also live streaming the show online.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day. Spice up your life.
Thank you.
The political class, the contestants, everybody is trying to outsteal the other.
Remorse is not taught in any school. Manners is something you get from your mother. You don't get it from your political party.
Why are we so unfocused as a country? Why are we spending money and resources, yet we have real challenges in this country?
This coronavirus pandemic should teach us one thing, that universal healthcare is critical. Because at this point, whether you have a medical card that covers you, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
The sun is out in Nairobi. We'll see highs of 27 and lows of 17 today. Sunny at 19 in Nakuru, highs of 28 and lows of 13. 12 will be the low in Nyeri, 19 and sunny, highs of 26 today. And Eldoret is also sunny, going to highs of 25 and lows of 12. All right, let's take a look then into Mombasa, where it's raining at 29, highs of 32 and lows of 26. Malindi is sunny at 20. highs of 32 and lows of 27. Partly sunny conditions at 26 in Kisumu, highs of 29 and lows of 19. And we are looking at Kakamega, where it is sunny at 24, highs of 29 and lows of 15. Kampala is sunny at 22, lows will be 19. And Dar es Salaam, sunny conditions at 29, highs of 32 and lows of 25. Johannesburg is sunny at 17, highs of 25 and lows of 10 today. And we're looking at rainy conditions in Lagos at 25, highs of 32 and lows of 24. It's cloudy in Kinshasa at 25, highs of 32 and lows of 23. A little bit warmer in Beijing going into early evening at 8 degrees, highs of just that and lows of -4. 1 degree and cloudy in Paris, highs of 9 and lows will be just at 1. It's cloudy at London at 3, highs of 9 today. 2 degrees and still a freeze warning for New York, highs of 7 and lows of 0.
Spice up your life.
All right, it still continues. My goodness, Jogo Road today really taking the hit, guys. What is going on in both directions today? Trying to get into the city and then going in the other way. Landis Road also taking that big hit. Haile Selassie from Kamkunji all the way until it touches Ngong Road. And then Gong Road coming in the opposite direction, feeding on to Haile Selassie, taking that major drama this morning. Uhuru Highway still jam-packed. We thought it was getting better on the thicker superhighway, and then boom, voila. C'est très différent, no? We're also looking at Kiambu Road. I just told you it got a little better. Somebody would have said I'm lying. I beg you. It was clear. Now, jam-packed all over again. Coming out of Westlands, whole mishmash of drama. Use the Red Hill Link Road. Go further to bring you closer. Makes a good tagline, doesn't it? SpiceFM KE on Twitter. Text 40127.
Classic soul, R&B, smooth jazz, neo soul, and nostalgic ballads.
Make some noise. Yeah.
You're listening to Spice FM. Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself.
It is. So, people have been snatched. You know how you can be walking town and your bag is snatched. Now it's happening to people, right? Quite a lot. But with this story that we saw yesterday, that was explained a little bit further yesterday, after a few days of, gentlemen having been, taken by people in the middle of the city from his vehicle into a Subaru and then disappeared, and then later is said to have shown up somewhere in Ethiopia. It's not the first number. Last week, we saw members of the Muslim fraternity, and they came out as members of the Muslim fraternity, saying, you know what, too many of our young people are being picked up. We do not know where they are going. Sometimes they show up. We don't hear anything from them. But for the majority of them, they show up dead. The majority of them, they're taken. We do not know where they are going. Others who've complained about young people having been taken by people who are said to have been police, but we don't hear charges. We don't know their whereabouts. They have been passed from one station to the next. ATPU, perhaps, something else, we do not know. Even if you're going to charge them, let us know what the charge is. Let us know that this is where you're holding them, and then we can now start to pursue whatever kind of justice we need to pursue. Too many people are turning up dead. Last person that they have been seen in the company of most times have been security agents in the form of police or the other. So the question is, what exactly is happening? And if you find yourself in a situation, what are you supposed to do? We saw a lot of advice coming on social media yesterday. Should you be asked to step out of your vehicle, for example, in the middle of the city, you must demand of this individual for them to identify themselves, where they are from, the reason why they're asking you to get into another vehicle. I don't know if in that whole brisk movement you would have time to do that, but this is the advice that's being given. But why is this happening at such a high rate? Currently, we are seeing that a lot of people are complaining right now. Our family members taken, no explanation given, no length of time. Some people then show up and they don't say a word about it afterwards. Some people don't have that liberty because they turn up dead. But the question is, what is happening? And somebody ought to answer, why are people being abducted? If they're being abducted, why
In
are they
broad
being
daylight.
taken in broad daylight? No explanation being given. And then the story just kind of fizzles out. Too many young people, too many older people, unfortunately, are finding themselves in this dragnet, and it cannot be.
You know, we talk about what we see and what gets into the public domain. For example, the case of Hassan Nandwa, the lawyer, who had gone to welcome his client, the convicted terrorist Elgiva Bwire, from prison. Bwire disappeared. Hassan Nandwa disappeared for a couple of days. Hassan Nandwa turns up somewhere in Kitui, walks into a relative's homestead at 2 a.m. and says, guys, ni mimi. And from that point on, despite a day earlier, there having been some protests by some civil society activists. No word about it. The lawyer doesn't speak. The police don't say, okay, we are glad that whoever had taken Nandwa has released him. We'd like to welcome Nando to come and give us, just tell us so we can know who we are dealing with here. So if the fact that the police are not doing anything about saying we are investigating who had kidnapped Nandwa, it means that they know who had taken Nandwa. It just goes on. Other cases that we have, remember there was a case of Sheikh Abdul Swamad. Sheikh Abdul Swamad was abducted by unknown people in the streets of Nairobi, just like that. He reappeared a couple of days later, just like that. Also, hasn't said much about what happened to him. No word from the law enforcement officers. There's a security consultant called Mwenda Mbijiwe, who disappeared on the 12th of June this year, hasn't been seen since. Nobody knows what happened to him. There are many others who've been picked up have been picked up by police, or what people came and identified themselves as police. One. But we have also seen footage on social media where just passers-by and people who are driving see some commotion, see somebody being removed from a vehicle, being bundled into another vehicle, and that vehicle speeds off. And you're sitting there wondering, what's happening here? You don't know whether these are police. You don't know whether these are criminals. You have no clue what's happening. And it goes. On Friday, the same thing happened to this Ethiopian national. Picked up. Nobody gets to understand what's happening. A traffic police person on motorbike comes, just continues, directing traffic as this commotion is going on. No word at all. What's going on?
Why wouldn't, if there is a case, doesn't matter who it is, if there is a case, and a valid one at that, there shouldn't be a problem with you, number one, identifying yourself, and number two, saying, these are the reasons why we are picking you up. And even thereafter, you've picked up an individual, had a conversation with them, and then decided to let them go, alive or otherwise. Explanation being given later on as to the reasons why you were having a conversation with this person. But these operations of secrecy then lends to the narrative that there's something untoward going on. You don't want to talk about it. There's something odd happening.
There's an aspect of these stories, maybe I'm going to be a bit of a wet blanket here, but everything that we read is, in my mind, just one side of a probably 3 or 4-sided story. Beyond what is reported, what do we know about these people who are apparently abducted? Beyond what we're told, so-and-so did this, so-and-so was this, he was a businessman, he did this. What else do we know? Nothing. Now, if we are saying that these people were picked up randomly, then I would ask, why random? I am of the view that they are very deliberate.
I don't think they're random.
I think they're very targeted.
Yes.
And the question I would ask is, why?
And then if they are targeted, then there is consensus amongst those who are picking them up, right? This is an operation. We're going to do 1, 2, 3. There is a reason why. Are they not duty bound to say the reason why? You can't just go out picking up somebody without giving the reasons why. It doesn't matter who you are.
Let me take you a long memory lane. Eh? Once upon a time, there was a reservist in this country, a gentleman of British origin called Shaw. Well known. Shaw was among the people who were behind the setting up of Starehe Boys Center, as it was called. Okay? Shaw was a policeman. Now, Shaw, according to mythology and according to reality, was known to be the one person that all the criminals elements who were to be found in Eastlands were afraid of, because he would appear at a place you don't expect. Now, the story goes, we're in the realm of mythology here. But one of the things that Shaw would do is Shaw would visit the families of those who were known criminals. And he tell them, we are warning you about this. Tell this fellow to desist from what he is doing. Please? Okay? We are telling you, because you're the family, we know what he does. Now, if he doesn't desist, whatever will be the outcome of his life is actually up to you now. But we've warned you. These are stories I've heard of other people who do similar jobs. When I worked in Kisumu, there was one particular policeman. I'm trying to remember the name. When I remember it, I'll tell you. He was known to be of a similar ilk. He'd go to some Nyalenda, some of the slum areas, some of the low rent areas where thugs were known to hide. And story goes, he would warn. He would go to people and say, you, we know what you do, you're going to stop. Now, what am I saying? I am saying that one, criminal elements are actually known to the security forces.
The law enforcement, yes.
They are known. Part of the reason is because these criminal elements also act as confidential informants for the police force. Okay? Now, if the police have such a connection with criminal elements, it therefore means that anybody who is involved in illicit activity is likely to be known. Likely. But then are we to say that all the people whom we hear of having been picked up, abducted, disappeared, have done something wrong? Now, that's where the element of secrecy that you said comes in. When you come from the umbrella that there's something nefarious these individuals can be involved in, but then there's secrecy and you don't really explain, then what you've done is created a loophole that can be exploited.
Indeed.
So you are never really sure what is actually going on. What you're sure of that someone has disappeared, some have ended up dead. Some have reappeared, and the things that we said at the beginning. But it isn't a good picture.
It isn't. It's actually really look, I understand that there are certain things within these operations that need to maintain that
level of secrecy.
Right? But not everything, right? No?
The law does not recognize maintaining level of secrecy.
In terms of...
You are picked up by law enforcement, you are taken to court. You apply to hold this person for a bit longer, for whatever reason, but you do not hold somebody for in excess of how many hours is it?
24.
Is it 48 hours or 24 hours?
It's 24.
Without producing them in court. That's the law. There is nothing of a TO, there is a level of secrecy because of what they're involved in. It does not matter. It does not matter. You pick somebody up, subject them through the process. And the reason for that is because you want to avoid all those things. You want to avoid rogue elements within the law enforcement from taking advantage of this. And this is what we see happening. When you see people being just picked up like that, remember, there was such hue and cry when we had the Mongeki and police operations, when we had the Sabah Land Defense Force and military operation, when you had all these gangs operating and police operations as well in 2008. Kenya invited the United Nations Special Rapporteur on Extrajudicial Killings, Philip Alston. He came, he did investigations. He said, yes, we've established that indeed there are elements within the police service who are involved in this, in extrajudicial killings. And what you need to do, he said, Mr. President, number one, you need to acknowledge this. And number two, set in place institutional reforms that will make sure that this doesn't happen. You've got to follow the law. So when you say that someone can just come and abduct someone, even in the cases of Patrick Shaw and the others, okay, yeah, to the better of the community, yes, people know it's a deterrent and all those things, but there's a certain limit. He can come and warn you and tell you, go shags, otherwise I'm going to deal with you. Fine. Or the next time I know when you're doing a robbery, we'll be involved in a shootout and I'm going to kill you. Well, there's a law. Currently, there's another one in Nairobi on social media called Hesiwa Dandora. on social media. Basically posts on Facebook and says, so-and-so, 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 so-and-so. You guys, you know what you're involved in. Watch yourselves. Next thing, so-and-so, so-and-so, so-and-so
disappeared.
are being
Oft.
buried.
Yeah.
And as he said, he'll post and say, you see so-and-so left? Please, so-and-so,
Be careful.
be careful. Stop what you're doing. Get out of town. Change your ways. It doesn't justify. He's doing all these things, but it doesn't justify.
It doesn't. The disappearances, unfortunately, no. And this is the thing. What is the cry that we heard? We've spoken to 2 individuals on this show who've said to us, you know what? We want to know, even if my brother has done something wrong, let us know what the charge is so that we can know. He's being charged for something. He's being held for this reason. But if you keep it quiet, they're also, just like you say, rogue elements. They're starting to feel what? That there is something that agents within that particular establishment are benefiting from by keeping this gentleman wherever they are keeping him. Or that they are involved in some kind of process.
Others are actually involved in this.
Involved in the
when
process
we hear
as
about
well.
police armory being raided or police guns,
Bullets disappearing. How did they get out?
Criminal elements within the service are running a criminal cartel. And they could be offing their opponents in the name of, it's a security operation. Someone just disappears.
Young people disappearing. We had protests in Mombasa and Nairobi 2 weeks ago because they're saying, you know what? This is too much. By the time you have entire communities coming out and saying, you know what? Now we have to bring it out to the street. We have to take it to the legislature because this is too much. We don't know where they're going. If they don't turn up dead, they turn up mute or they don't turn up at all. This is becoming too much. You have people then who show up in your house after having been gone for 4 months, and whatever it is that they went through, they're not even able to verbalize it. What's happening? Should not be. There's a level of responsibility. Look, if it is criminals who are kidnapping people, then maybe you want to put that on a different shelf. But people who show up under the guise or even in the broad daylight as law enforcement and are not making the reasons as to why they're taking these people known, pop and plain, as broad as the daylight in which they are taking them away, then there's a major problem.
You see, the question is, we have IPOA, okay? We have the police service as we know it. And then we have criminal elements whom the police are supposed to handle, manage, deal with. How effectively does IPOA and other related agencies deal with now criminal elements within the police force?
Do they? Do they deal
Because you see that the question this raises in my mind is this, is a certain level of criminal activity quietly accepted?
It is. This is systemic. This is systemic. If it wasn't, you'd be seeing maybe the Inspector General of Police raising questions saying,
what's going on
What's
here?
that?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, if you wanted this person arrested, invite them to Kilimani Police
Do it the
Station.
proper way.
Question them, hold them, do it the proper way. You don't just time them, driving their expensive Bentley Bentayga on the streets, and then you go and block them, and all of you are there. Have you seen that clip?
Cop guns.
Several people there struggling to pull a man out of his vehicle. And then they bundle him into a vehicle and they take off. This Bentley Bentayga is left there. You sort yourself out. How? The worst part of this is that it's in the middle of traffic. There are other people on the road. Now imagine if somebody there removed a firearm and there was a shootout. And you'll just be hearing, an innocent bystander ended up being shot. This could be you in traffic.
Let me ask you the question, Eric. Do you see even a die-hard thug conducting such an operation in broad daylight?
Yeah,
Who has the courage and the gumption to do this, knowing full well nothing will happen? I mean, think about it.
If a thug did this, they wouldn't last the night.
No,
they wouldn't.
They would find them in whatever hole they went to hide in and finish them.
Zachary is in Nakuru. Good morning.
Oh, good morning, people.
Morning, Mr. Kikonyo.
Oh, I have waited for a while, but it is good. That's a very good discussion. And very quickly, let me tell you that the reports of the wicked spending are catching up with me. You know why? Oh, they are now saying that they were born as Zachary.
Hey, that's what you were doing. Now we know.
Others are suggesting Zachary for governor, Zachary for the cattle dip chairman.
No, you are listening to the people.
Actually, they are telling me that I should expect delegations, yeah?
In due course, you'll tell us which direction you'll take.
But the one that I'm accepting most is the Warebona Zachary, yeah?
Okay. That one you like?
That one is very much. And I tell them, that one I accept, yeah? Now, let me say this, Mr. Eric. That one thing is a good discussion, and today you have had some very good topics there. The guests talking about the universities in Japan. You are actually now, convincing us that Japan is it's a part of us, yeah, and it should continue. Very quickly, let me talk about the disappearances. I do not know the words I can use to describe how a village, a family, and even the closest relatives of a person who disappears. And, I've heard about, I think about five instances where people have disappeared. No trace, even the cops, you don't get to see it. And the whole village is traumatized. This is the point, yeah? The government has got the mandate to secure its people. And I do not, in the current age, no government should covertly do some short things about Sijui. We suspect so and so is doing this and this. We are going to arrest him at Sijui dark or in the middle of traffic. That is bad, yeah? It is bad. There are some words that I could have used, but let me just spare them, yeah? But it is bad. You know why? I kind of suggest this, yeah? No one is above government. Because government is all of us. And it is taken that all of us have got this goodwill of living in peace. And should one element, one rotten apple decide to do otherwise or to behave otherwise, we know him. And when he is going to be arrested, why is it as if we are hiding at we are going for Mr. Eric? Why? Yeah. So this would be my suggestion, yeah? So as to avoid criminals now taking that chance, because even criminals can say, we want now Mr. Eric, we are targeting him, and we shall get him when he leaves the office, yeah? Yep. And actually, people will not raise alarm because they say, this is a threat. These are these are the law enforcement guys, and they are criminals. Mr. Mwalimu Andrew there, and he is a very good institutional memory, has talked of Mr. Patrick Shaw. Shaw would have intelligence and actually would come during the day, like now when the shining is shining so brightly, yeah? I'd tell you, my friend, we've got intelligence about this and that and that. And can you kindly change your ways? If you don't, we have no otherwise. Why are they not doing that? And this is my last suggestion, yeah? Yes. If these people find that it is already in the traffic jam that we can go and arrest this guy, let there be not one vehicle. Okay? The arresting guys can be in plain clothes, yeah? Yep. But why
let
don't
there be proper police officer with police siren, police marked vehicle, so you know that this is a police operation.
Definitely, this is a government sanctioned operation, and therefore, let us you call them insignia. Yes. Let us see government presence even when this, because let me tell you, Mr. Eric, I believe even as the most bad person, has got a chance to be heard.
That's true. That's very true.
And to defend himself, whatever he has done, is it?
True. Very true. Thank you, Zachary.
Thank you, guys, and have a nice day.
Lovely day to you. Yeah. So this trend needs to come to an end. Even this funny explanation, that this is when I'm also calling our colleagues in the media. When you put up a headline and say, this is the man who killed this journalist, And you just clearly can see there are very many holes in a story that you're telling.
There are very many unanswered questions.
Starting from the name, how many people in this country do you hear called Tamati Mauti?
It could very well be his name, but surely it's not often.
How? Tamati Mauti is basically, in Swahili, it means, in the end, death.
Yes.
Tamati is conclusion. Mauti is death. And then this person who allegedly had a drink and then followed a woman into a room and then jumped off a wall, he's called Tamati Mauti.
Mauti.
Jumped
To his death.
Stories. City, today's proverb as we conclude.
Yes, heri kujikwaa kidole kuliko ulimi. Better to stumble with the toe than with the tongue. Here it appears that we are stumbling with a pen.
Yeah. Deliberately so.
Yes.
Deliberately so. Thank you for tuning into Kenya's biggest conversation, The Situation Room. Join us again tomorrow. Well, not us. Join these two guys tomorrow. I'll be away. I'll be attending the Devolution Conference in Makueni County from tomorrow until Friday. I am back next week. See you.
That's how people talking about.
Where?
No.
It's devolution.
It's
devolution.
He's talking devolution in English.
Yes.
Oh, sorry.
Have a good day, folks. It's now 10 a.m.
The latest news from around the world. 94.4 Spice FM.